Playoffs basketball. WKRK-FM and HD1 Cleveland Heights. The best playoff coverage in the CLE. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Yeah, the Cavaliers were having their troubles with the Toronto Raptors in Game 5 last night at Rocket Arena. Luckily, second half, Evan Mobley stepped up big time for the wine and gold.
Three-pointers haven't been going down for the Raptors since halftime.
No, they haven't. They've leveled off a little bit. Well, when you're shooting 60-some%, you have to level off.
How about Mobley with another triple? He had 2 in the first 4 games of the series, and he has 2 here.
8 of the last 10 points authored by Evan Mobley.
That courtesy NBA on ESPN. Good guys hang on to win it. 125-120. Mobley 16 of his 23 points in the second half. James Harden also with 23 points. Cavs now lead the series 3-2. Donovan Mitchell 19 points off the bench. Dennis Shruder 11 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter. Game 6 tomorrow night up in Toronto. Elsewhere in the NBA playoffs in the East, Detroit down to Orlando 116-109. Cade Cunningham scored a franchise playoff record 45 points. Detroit avoided elimination. However, the Magic still leads that series 3-2 and will try again to clinch the series tomorrow night down at home in Orlando. In the Western Conference last night, the Rockets win in LA, beat the Lakers 99-93. Jabari Smith Jr., 22 points. The Rockets avoided elimination for a second straight time. Kevin Durant out again because of an ankle injury despite the back-to-back losses. The Lakers still lead the series 3-2. Guardians knock off the Tampa Bay Rays 3-1. Guardians step in a 4-game losing streak. Gavin Williams, season high 7 2/3 innings, allowed just 1 unearned run on 5 hits, would strike out 9, and for the first time in his career, issued no walks. Chase Lauder, a pair of hits, including a big 2-run single. Ryan Rocchio had 3 hits and scored twice. Mayor Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com reports that Deshaun Watson emerged from voluntary minicamp with an edge over Shedeur Sanders. Cabot also reports that Watson has the inside track to be the starting quarterback. Head coach Todd Monken's hoping to identify his starter by the end of mandatory minicamp. That begins on June 9th. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Baseball, basketball, and the Browns. It's why you need the afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2.
Tonight we're gonna take no prisoners.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
They ain't losing.
Inbound Mobley, big man triple.
Big triple also.
There's no way.
Mitchell, no look. Mobley with the finish.
5 Evan Mobley points.
How about Mobley with another triple?
No way.
Mobley. How about that? He was 2 for 11 from 3 in the first 4 games.
No way.
Shruder loves the rims here in Cleveland. Big triple.
You're the better basketball team.
Biggest deficit of Game 5. Shed turns the corner. Allen spikes it out of bounds.
So wake him up.
Dennis Shruder getting a lot of second half minutes, rides and floats it in with Barnes defending.
You got better pros on your team.
Step back, Barrett had the bigger Mobley in his face. 9 seconds, time's a wasting. Barnes got the 3, missed it, tap-in battle, no!
They're not losing tonight.
Rebound Cleveland, and with 3 seconds to go, a foul, and the Cavaliers are going to get out of here with a 3-2 series lead.
The Cavs ain't losing this year. There's no way. No way.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
I said series at the end.
You did.
Jeez. Audio courtesy of ESPN. We'll talk about that later. A white and gold winner for your Cavaliers. Woo!
Audio courtesy of Ken Spears.
I don't have to sit there and eat nasty comment.
Oh, you're going to eat.
I'm going to eat. But I don't have to sit there and take it. Well, I mean, I might as well. Now you have to talk because I'm eating donut. Go Cavs, baby. Go Cavs.
The ratio to outcome of a playoff game, a must-win, all-time, huge, significant playoff game for a Cleveland team. The ratio of that with the tweets of the last 5 minutes of a half, where you would have thought they were an 0-16 Browns team. You would have thought this was the worst team in the history of Cleveland sports in the last 5 minutes of the first half.
So
if you just monitored the tweets that were coming in. Because I sat there at halftime, and I was at the game, Kenny, and I thought about leaving. I thought about leaving. I literally I was texting my wife because she was going up to bed, and she was giving me the update of the sleep and how's everybody doing and where's the cat and what am I coming home to?
Where's the cat?
Who's going to get the monitor?
You ain't been home in hours. Where the hell are you supposed to know where the cat is?
I got to know where the cat is because if the cat starts meowing, that starts a ripple effect. If Mason wakes up, if Izzy wakes Mason up, then we're going to have a talking to and it disrupts the sleep.
All right.
And we've got to look at the watch because it's going to have the VO Max monitoring and blah, 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 blah. All I know is this: at halftime, I go, I might be leaving. And I got a pep talk. Branson Wright gave me a pep talk in the bowels of the arena.
Branson Wright gave you a pep talk?
We're sitting there. We're to the point where we're showing each other tweets that we're sending.
Really?
We're like, here's what I'm sending. What are you sending? It was
I think you're showing another Instagram post on your phone right to the camera, you better be careful there.
We'll do that in a little bit.
It's nothing incriminating for you. There was a comment on an Instagram post we will get to coming up at 6:43 by a member of the Sanders family.
Oh, boy.
Away we go. Anyway.
So it was DEF CON. It was a level of DEF CON, without a doubt. And rightfully so, because James Harden has this throwback the clock.
Yep.
I want to say 20 minutes, 18 minutes of the first half, because the last 4 minutes of the first half was turnover layup, missed shot layup. It was one of the worst transgressions against playoff basketball I've ever seen. And I was just like, they quit. Oh my God, they quit. They quit in a playoff game. They're done. They're getting eliminated. Mm-hmm. Kenny, they're getting eliminated. My Cavaliers that are supposed to make a deep run
I know, man.
in the playoffs are done.
I know.
Are done. And then a funny thing happened when they put Dennis Shruder in.
Hey, man, that's why they call it a team. And that's the end of the show. Have a great day. No, I was proud of myself because I didn't check a thing. I put sleep on my phone. I said, I'll see you on the other side. And I woke up this morning, and it was 30 texts, and it was great. They were all negative. Every single one. 30 texts, 30 negative comments. And then after I kind of tried to, size up the time when the game ended, there was nothing after they won. I go, you guys got to be kidding me. There was nothing good. I didn't check social media. I didn't do a damn thing. I sat there in my bed and watched that game, sitting up, and I kept it on low. I turned it down, and I just let the game, and I just sat there stewing in my feelings in the first half, at the end of the first half. I did turn up Inside the NBA. I saw that. That was something we're going to go over here in a bit. But I saw the second half, and I just was relieved that they won. I knew I had a feeling, and I didn't because I'm like, I got to go to bed. And if I start looking at my mentions, if I start looking at the phone, I'm going to be up until 2 in the morning. I guarantee it. And it was. And I do think I'm not going to sit there. This has been a weird series already. You've had people flipping and flopping and calling each other out, then having to take it back. I just think a lot of people are doing it as a defense mechanism. I think that the malaise is still there. They're waiting for this team to let them down. And so they're going to get their feelings off. And I'm seeing, even after the game, I saw social media. When I woke up, I'm like, this is after the game. This is immediately, well, if they need Dennis Shruder to bail them out, you know how this is going to go. All right, guys, you do need people to show up. J.J. Barea showed up way back in the day.
You're right.
You've had a lot of guys, Derek White, show up over the last couple of years. Now, he's a quality player, but I'm saying, you don't sit there when you talk about the Celtics, you're not talking about Derek White first. As an outsider, you're not talking Derek White first reference. No offense to him. Who helped us out in the
finals with a 4-point play?
It was... Wait, a 4-point play?
Wasn't there a 3-point play or a 4-point play?
I thought you were going to J.R. Smith, who's actually a well-known player, but...
We've had him on, too.
I was going to say Damon Jones, but it wasn't.
No. I can't remember his name. But
he helped us with a different thing.
This is what the
soup to eat for the day?
The NBA playoffs, it's a lobster bisque. The playoffs are awesome in the NBA because you have to be uncomfortable as a coach. You have to go into whatever you have, the catalog of guys that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember him, Thomas Bryant. I remember him. We've been calling for him all series. Not that I thought that was the difference in why we lost the 2 games in Toronto, but I'm like, I don't know. He could come in and be a spark plug. He could come in and he made a quick defensive play, And it's those types of things that can change a series immediately. And that was a game where the last few minutes of the first half, we all thought this was going to be a quitting basketball team. This was going to be a team that was just going to lay down, be humiliated.
I know.
Humiliated. And by the way, it's Canada and it's USA. Like, Donald Trump is going to have a press conference. That's how bad the last few minutes of that game, that first half was. That's what the level of ineptitude that you saw, and then for them to turn it around.
Yeah.
And then in the crunch time, there was 6 minutes left, and that qualified as crunch time in this game. They had Harden, Strus, Merrill, Allen, Shruder. They had a bizarre lineup that if you would have told me before the game in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, that would be your group, I'd say we're waving the white flag. That's it. We're getting eliminated, and are we trading Donovan? Are we trading Mobley? Kenny's gone. Kobe's gone.
I'm right here.
And now here we go. Game 6 in Toronto, and you can win the series.
Yeah, I'm glad it turned. I'm glad it turned, because if it didn't turn, I can't imagine what today would be like. And I honestly, I think it'll be pretty quiet out there. I do want to know, 216-474-0092. Are you feeling more confident? Are you feeling better about the Cavs now after that win? I thought it was a gritty win. Some things didn't go well for you. You turned the ball over like crazy again. And I think you had just as many turnovers as what Toronto did, actually, but it seemed to come in just these waves of turnovers. Like you said at the end of the first half.
It's a live ball turnovers.
And that was one of the things I was listening to Jeff on the way in. That's one of the things that he thought was critical for Game 6. Kenny thought was critical for Game 6 was the possession battle. You can't turn the ball over. You got to win on the boards. And if you do that in Game 6, there should not be a Game 7. I don't know how many people. I think we're in this weird feeling now, not this weird place where, yeah, you can't help but feel more confident because you're a 3-2 series lead, but you're also going on the road. The trust is still not there. The trust is still not there to close it out. And for Toronto, they've earned respect there. They have earned a lot of respect to it. So I think we're just in this weird place of being as comfortable and confident as most teams would be in a 3-2 series, not where they would knock it down, which is what we thought would be last night or yesterday morning before last night's game. Like, hey, if they win, I think a lot of people are going to say we're still not out of the woods. If they lose, right, I think a lot of people are going to be hitting DEFCON 1, and they won't care about any of these guys.
They're not paying attention
requesting trades and all the other stuff.
They're not paying attention to Detroit and Cade Cunningham having 40-plus last night. And winning that game and stretching out that series.
Don't care.
Where now Detroit is back in it. Could maybe if that series goes 7 and you're playing the winner of that series, it's like, oh, are you watching the? No, nobody cares because they're just focused on. Wait, we were told the Raptors were bad, and we were huge favorites before the series. Why is this series going so long?
I understand that. So I think I just think it's going to be a weird day for Browns fans, Cavs fans. It's always a weird day for Browns fans.
We will get to why it's a very weird day for Browns fans.
I know. 640. We'll get to it, I promise. But I do think it's a weird day for Cavs fans because you're happy your team won. Everybody should be happy they won, my God. But I just don't think there's a lot of confidence moving forward.
Fans are not, to me, I would be like, hey, I've told you all along this series is why. Seriously, at halftime, I thought it was over. So I'm not gonna wave the pom-poms and act like, why did you guys not believe? Like I told you, I was getting ready to leave at halftime. That's how bad it was. Man. And then the Dennis Shruder takeover.
You wouldn't have watched Game 6?
I told you I was done. Yeah, I was gonna find something else. That was it. So Dennis Shruder, 11 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter, 5 of 8 from the field in the fourth quarter, and he played the entire. So this is why we talk about the playoffs are so different. Nobody would have had that on their bingo card. Nobody would have had that in the regular season. I saw that look, Kenny.
Yeah, I know.
That, hey, Dennis Schroeder's going to play 12 minutes. He's going to play an entire fourth quarter. He's going to be playing while Donovan Mitchell is on the bench, and the coach is going to admit, I'm keeping Donovan Mitchell on the bench.
Right, I want to get to that 623 because there was a hell of a piece of audio from Kenny Atkinson, which I thought was him trusting his best player, and I think it's weird. I think a lot of people believe the same thing I did and what you did. I think you're on the same wave with me. Don't tell me yet. But I saw a lot of people going after Kenny Atkinson for something he admitted in the postgame. I want to play that coming up at 6:23 later on this morning. But I feel better about it. It's not where the series is over, though. And so it's playing out the way I thought. And because of the reactions that I was getting from fans, I just don't think that this is going to be a feeling today of celebration. We got this in the bag like we've seen in years past. I think that this is very game to game with the Cavs fans because you're going up there to Toronto, and I think that they've proven a time or two that is going to be a tough atmosphere and that you have not responded well to that atmosphere. So it's still arm's length. And I don't think that, but let me state for the record, I don't think it's bad that Dennis Shruder stepped in there and gave you quality at the end of the game where he scores 11 of his 19 in the game in the final quarter of the game. I think that's a great. Evan Mobley hitting a couple of threes in the fourth quarter is a great thing. Now that's somebody you actually need.
About Evan.
That's somebody you actually really need. But you need a guy like Dennis Schroeder to come in there and be a veteran for you. And I thought that he did. I thought that he showed a lot of poise as a guy who's been in the league a long time.
It was mismatched basketball. That's where you can run all your sets, you can run all your plays, or you can put in your Hall of Famer because Dennis Schroeder is a future NBA Hall of Famer. Kids, check out his international play. But when he got in there and just diagnosed, I can beat this guy off the dribble and get to the basket. They have no help. There's no pack line defense, right? There's nobody back there that can and Schroeder, the takeover. When you've got a team where Donovan is trying to figure out where his place was. I do think Donovan had more active legs yesterday than he's had in a while. When James Harden, I know the turnovers. I know we're going to talk about those to death. But when James Harden has that first quarter and just gives Cavs fans some hope that they can hang in there, when all of that was going on and Evan Mobley hits the two biggest threes of the season, where I don't think anybody in that arena was going, yes, Evan, take it.
Well, that's one where
it was the quintessential no. Yes!
As a team, I'm glad you brought this up. As a team, I don't think there's much trust. When it comes to Evan, I don't think there's much trust. But you needed a guy to step up there and have the green light. Because I think in a lot of cases, he might have wanted to pass off. Because there's not a whole lot of thought that he's going to step up and overcome some of the controversy that's been surrounding him as far as him being that player that the Cavs need him to be. And there's been a lot of nasty things that have been said about him. I mean, things that, I don't think that people would say to his face on some of these podcasts, the things that you send us, some of the things on the radio. And I haven't enjoyed it. I thought it was really lowbrow and really crappy to say some of those things about him. But either way, I think you could be critical without saying some of the nasty things that have been said. But there's plenty of reasons to be critical. But he steps in there and he hits two big shots. In so many ways, keeps your head afloat, saves the series in so many ways, and then now we head to a Game 6 where, you could possibly close it out, but I think we're going to see a lot more of the same. I think we're going to see a lot of blitzing. I think there's going to be some turnover issues again. It just has been that way over the last few games, and you're probably going to have to go out there and grind out another win the way you did. So the challenge is there. You win this game on Friday night, everything's going to be okay until we get to the next series. If the Magic end up closing out the Detroit Pistons, I think there's a different ball of wax there. If Detroit comes back, I'm going to be interested to see where our temperature is when it comes to Detroit. But you got to get past Game 6 first. 216-474-0092. All right, you literally can't go anywhere. I mean, you can go to work, but you got to take us with you to the free Odyssey app because there's a lot coming up here. In just over 20 minutes, just because I didn't like what Mary Kay reported doesn't mean it's a lie. Doesn't mean that I have to hate her. I told you that this was a reality that we were going to have to accept, and it does make a lot of common sense. Thank goodness we do have Mary Kay coming on this morning at 8:20. So we will ask directly to Mary Kay, plus we have some audio coming up at 6:43. I didn't like the commentary, or I didn't like the report, I should say. I didn't like it, but I think I'm going to have to accept it, and I think a lot of Browns fans are too. However, coming up in 5 minutes, Kenny admitted something after the game that I thought was pretty sensical. But it has a lot of fans questioning him after these comments, which we will play for you in 5 minutes. Kenny has kind of split the faith in him. That's coming up in 5 on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here. There's nothing to split here. This
best warranties in the business. The Welcome to Spring promo is 25% off Pella products or no money down, no interest, and no payments for 2 years. Visit Pella.com.
It's early, but so far so good when it comes to your trek into downtown Cleveland. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
I'm not trying to call you out on the carpet. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. What you just said.
I thought their season was over.
I don't think a lot of people disagree with you.
Holy cow. I had no faith.
I don't think a lot of people disagree with you. What was it, 74-67 at half?
And it's the
Charles
way...
Barkley thought it was over at halftime.
Oh, God, did he ever.
You want to hear it?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Just gotta say, man, I just want to apologize for picking the Cavs to get to the finals.
Man, you're halfway through Game 5.
Ernie, what you see, no team's gonna get to the championship playing like the last 3 games. They done played 3 bad games, two bad games and a half in a row. Like, they don't value the basketball. They don't play with. You can't win with consistent players. When you and Shaq and Ken, they know when you're on a good team, there's a sense of urgency. There's no sense of urgency with this Cavs team.
Who are you apologizing to, though?
Oh, America, I've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray.
Yeah. Well, that's what you've done to America, too.
I just love Ernie.
Audio courtesy ESPN.
It's halftime of Game 5.
I have a little more from Barkley. If
Yeah,
you'd like
please.
To hear that.
Let it ride.
Game.
Let it ride.
This is Inside the NBA on ESPN. If I hit the button.
Their starters still didn't play good to me. Their bench guys, to me, was the difference. Because they might have finished it, but when they were not playing well, because they got off to an awful start, and when he went to his bench, those guys gave them some life and some energy. But the starters got to pick it up. You know, James and Donovan, they got to play better. Mobley got to play better. My man Jared Allen got to play better.
James had a pretty good first quarter.
Yeah, he did. But they were down.
But like the fourth quarter, 1 point between Donovan Mitchell and James Harden.
That can't happen.
Your best players have to be your best players. And Donovan and James have not played. They played good the first 2. But this is 3, in my opinion, subpar games in a row. That can't happen. They should win this series, especially now that Brandon Ingram's out.
Yeah, well, at halftime, you were acting like the sky was falling.
It is falling. You got to play hard, man. You can't relax. You just can't play, man. You got to play with desperation. The playoffs are desperation. You got to play like this is a really big deal.
It's amazing because, like, this actually leads into what we were going to do with Mary Kay coming up at 6:43. Just because I don't like what he said doesn't mean it's not true. He's talking about the finals. He's not talking about just beating Toronto.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Charles Barkley's talking about the finals, is what he's saying. So he may end up being very well right. I hope he's wrong, obviously, but I can't sit here and make fun of him for what he said and him ending up being wrong after the first half, whereas he's talking about a team that was supposed to go to the NBA Finals,
Kenny,
not
100%. Look, I could sit here, and if we were a little more dominating in this series, I would implore you to go look at the other series, look at the other games, call out the flaws with the Boston Celtics, call out the flaws with the New York Knicks, with Detroit, with Orlando. I could do that all day. Guess who's not going to care? Anybody that wants to call us or listen to us today, because they were sold a bill of goods. They don't care that the other teams, what bill of goods that the Knicks are all in, that the Celtics were unbelievable in the regular season. Like, nobody cares. They are just like, hold up your end of the bargain, Cavs. And I will tell you, as embarrassing as those last few minutes of that first half was, as rough as it looked for Evan Mobley in that first half, I mean, he looked so outmatched, so outclassed. Both of our bigs just looked like they were feckless. They had no answers whatsoever for Toronto. The Raptors were flying high. There were a lot of Raptors fans that apparently just drove up game day because the tickets were so cheap because you guys don't believe in this team. So the opposing team in a playoffs in Cleveland, Ohio, are buying up tickets to your team, and nobody thinks you guys have a shot, and you're getting ridiculed like that by Charles Barkley and some of the leading voices in the NBA.
I did not know there were a lot of Raptors fans there. I'm writing that down. I'm sorry.
They were there. There was a bathroom stall open, and I said, you were here first. You made the trip. Your team's up at half.
He was in a bathroom stall. That's interesting.
You go ahead.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't it? So old habits die hard.
So all of that stuff is happening. I will say this for the Cavs' defense. They played their asses off in the second half and in that fourth quarter. They did. They played hard. And I know, okay, Lima, great, they played hard in the playoffs. Well, you know what? Someone needed to wake them up.
Well,
somebody needed to, and Dennis Shruder and Evan Mobley hitting those threes, and Evan Mobley with some big defensive rebounds. Harden had some big defensive rebounds. All those loose balls that were going to the Raptors in those 2 games in Toronto, all of a sudden the Cavaliers said, hey, you know what? Give me that.
I'm glad you mentioned
I want to be in this series.
I'm glad you
I'd like to
mentioned this.
continue playing basketball.
Because Kenny mentioned it, and this is something that caught a lot of people's eyes, or caught a lot of people's ears in the postgame, where Kenny said about keeping Mitchell on the bench later in the fourth quarter and why he did such a thing.
Well, I was going to put Donovan and Evan back in, and they said, no, this group's rolling. I was like, what? Like, that never happens in the NBA. That shows Donovan, he's so selfless. I think there's 4 minutes left. I think they just scored a bucket. Now, when they scored another bucket, I did get them in. I said, come on. But, like, they knew that group was doing well and wanted to keep them out there, both him and Evan.
So that immediately got met with question by some of our media brethren there. Donovan Mitchell explains his side of things. It's not his side of things, but he gives his explanation about why he did not want to go back into the game at that juncture. Hit it.
I mean, when you got to, like, it's about the group, right? Like, it's not about, and he asked me and Evan, and we were just like, no, like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is working. We're getting stops. And I think the biggest thing about this group is it's about the collective. It isn't about one person or 2 people. Like, we know who we are, and we know what Dennis is bringing, right? Like, you ride the hot hand. You don't make a sub. You know what I mean? And I think that just speaks to what we have as a group. And I feel like every single person 1 through 15 would say the same thing if they were in that position, right? It's about the group. It isn't about each individual. So when you got guys in a group that's really closing the game out in a sense, not in a sense, but closing the game out, you stick with it no matter who's out there on the floor.
Dennis Shruder was asked about it. He had 19 points, 11 in the fourth quarter, and this is off the heels. And we're going to get deeper into the Dennis Shruder halftime speech. This is apparently off the heels of a halftime speech from Dennis Shruder where he lit into the basketball team. Here's Dennis about being left out there for the fourth.
No, I didn't know that. I'm the same way, though. When somebody is balling, and even when the coach tells me to get in, I'm letting the guy cook, whoever cooks. And I appreciate it from Don. That means a lot. He's a superstar. Not a lot of superstars does that, who I've been around. So it's a high character group, I think, in this locker room, and that shows why. Just glad that we pulled this one out.
Okay, you know more about these things when it comes to the NBA than I do. Let me just give you my opinion. I just assume that that's what, if a leader on a basketball team like Donovan Mitchell sees this sort of thing, that's what you do as the head coach. I mean, you do want to empower your players, do you not? Now, there is a time where it's like, hey, get your ass in there. You're the number one here. Let's go. There may come a time for that. But if you see your guy going well, and he's the guy who lit into everybody, he's a veteran. It wasn't like he's just some guy at the end of the bench who barely gets to play. It's not like Grady Dick was laying into the Toronto Raptors at halftime or anything like that. Like, no, this is something serious here. This is a veteran that's respected in this league, letting him have it. So fine, Donovan Mitchell, who is the supreme leader of this team, went ahead and let him did it. I did not see a problem with this whatsoever. I did not see a problem with it, but maybe I'm wrong. I want to kind of lay it out for you there.
Well, here's the thing. They traded for everybody makes a big deal about Harden, but they traded for Shruder, and Keon Ellis is out of the rotation. That's something we'll probably end up talking about in the offseason. Like, that was actually, I thought it was talked about as the bigger prize in the DeAndre Hunter deal, but obviously he hasn't had any playoff moments like this in his career, and Dennis Schroeder's had big-time moments. I joke about the Hall of Fame resume, but, he's got an incredible Hall of Fame, international resume, and he's unafraid. That's what I'm getting to. They acquired 2 guys at the deadline that are unafraid in these moments. One of them is James Harden. You saw that in the first quarter. Like, he doesn't care that universally he's being ridiculed for the turnovers. He does not care. Like, think about that.
Not to. It's amazing.
A lot of guys that would just take them out, and James Harden, for better or for worse, right? He doesn't care. He's like, I need to put the team on my back, and that's what James Harden did in the first quarter. And don't think I didn't notice that James Harden made like 6 defensive plays in that game. Like, James Harden, which kind of makes you wonder, why doesn't he do that all the time?
So ultimately, for the record, you agree with me on this? I'm not hitting it wrong there?
This is what I'm getting at. When they traded for James Harden, I almost think guys are deferring too much to James Harden. But they also see a guy like Dennis Shruder, and no one is going to say anything about James Harden being on the floor, even with Donovan not being on the floor in crunch time of a life or death playoff game, because he's got the resume. Everybody in that league knows who Dennis Shruder is. I mean, seriously, like that's not a casual fans, non-ball knowers, had fun with that. They might not know Dennis Shruder. Everybody on Toronto knows exactly who that is. And you know what? They've seen it. Dennis Shruder has had these moments in these games where he's like, all right, I got a mismatch. I'm going to go layup. Yeah. Or I'm going to get the ball in the cylinder and we have a chance to score here in an otherwise terrible situation where we can't get anything to fall.
If Donovan is the one saying it, I can't see how it's the wrong thing to do. And there is such an ebb and a flow where there's places where you know it's the right time to bring guys in. It's places where you know it's the wrong time to bring guys in. And if I'm Kenny, yeah, I'm looking at it going, hey, they just got a bucket. I need to get my guys back in there. I might need to take the ideas of the guy who's the leader of this team, who runs the franchise in so many ways is Donovan. And with that comes a great responsibility, because we can see it later on in this postseason where there is going to be some serious criticism of him for anything like this, or some questions for anything like this, because we may wonder in a fourth quarter later on. But I think that he's obviously capable of handling that responsibility. 7:45, Dave Jenkins going to join us on the show, Browns president. Folks, groundbreakings today. We're getting a new stadium for your Cleveland Browns. Coming up at 8:22, Mary Kay Cabot going to join us on the show. Speaking of Mary Kay, listen, I didn't like what she had to report. I didn't like reading it. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it ain't true, and it helps that we kind of predicted it. What is it? We'll tell you in 5 on The Fan.
The Open Road.
parents, kids, neighbors, friends, and we all want the same thing, to get home safely. A little awareness goes a long way. Look out for each other, because roads are for everyone. Learn more at LoraineCountyHealth.com/saferroads.
This is where Cleveland fans turn to talk Cavs basketball. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Can I just finish it up real quick? Social media reactions are brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Because I'm going to get back to the Cavs at 7:20, all right? I don't want to spend, because we got to get to this Mary Kay audio. But, like, Nico on Twitter says that that's just Donovan not wanting to be the fall guy because he shelled up in the fourth quarter of the past 3 games. He's afraid to attack the rim and draw a foul. He'd rather try BS lean-in three-pointers like in Game 4. All right, you can be critical of his game. There ain't no hiding from nothing. This was all done for you. You might as well call him Damon from the Omen. This is all for you. It's all for you, Donovan. So there's no hiding from anything. He ain't stupid. He knows that. I mean, good God, you have him being called out on the carpet on national television at every turn, which, by the way, has been basically his entire career. There's no hiding from any of that. Like, I'm getting texts from you-know-who. Goodness gracious. No. There's no hiding from Donovan, for Donovan. He knows exactly what this is. So I trust Donovan to do that. And frankly, I trust Kenny Atkinson to trust Donovan to do that. Like, this is not a knock on Kenny Atkinson to not know when to bring Donovan back in or when not to bring Donovan back in, not to recognize. It's your perennial all-star. It's a guy who plays at an MVP level. When we're getting to crunch time and you've given up a bucket in transition, yeah, you probably want to put your perennial all-star in who's played at an MVP level before. That's usually what you want to do. And it's okay for Donovan Mitchell to say, hold on, let's take a look at this. It's fine to do so. I don't hold Kenny Atkinson a grudge over that. I don't really hold Kenny Atkinson a grudge over anything pertaining to that.
You got to give Atkinson credit that he wasn't stubborn and didn't continue on. A lot of coaches will just say, well, I have the data. My analytics crew gave me the data, and this lineup works, and it should work, and we just missed shots. It's all the Boston Celtics say after every loss. Oh, we missed shots. We know we could have hit those. Okay, well, but when you lose the series like they did to the Knicks last year, nobody cares that you missed good looks. Like, you're done. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter about your process. You're done. And I think that's important that Kenny, in the recesses of all the different lineups and whatever, and basically a lineup, I'm curious to know, John, if you can look it up, just what the data shows on how often that lineup even got a chance to play together this year. I mean, even their starters, when normally when Dean Wade is their starter, like that lineup barely got to play together, and that's your starter in the playoffs. Like, these guys are figuring stuff out on the fly because they made significant trades at the deadline, and they had injuries all regular season. Nobody cares about that stuff now because they're healthy. They're the healthiest they've been all year. But you have to admit, like, you have a head coach who's willing to throw stuff against the wall to see if it sticks, and sometimes to the detriment. But last night, it worked. It worked in a big way. And yeah, does LeBron, in his storied history, is LeBron James ever sitting in that moment? No. Okay? Is Jokic?
But LeBron
James, like, no,
but
those
LeBron
guys
James
aren't
has
sitting.
been criticized for passing off while he's not sitting. I mean,
being
we know that.
Yeah.
Being deferential.
But what I'm saying is, we all know now. We all know the score. Let's not act naive for the sake of argument. Like, somebody called you, Donovan's not the guy. Guys, we know Donovan is not the best player on a title team. We know it. It sucks. You traded all you did for the guy.
That's a little strong.
But it's a league where you try to get the best players that you can, and Donovan has been unbelievable for the Cleveland Cavaliers since we've gotten him. He's been incredible. He was All-NBA first team last year. But can he be the best player on a championship team? I think we know the answer to that. But to sit there yesterday and to argue that you couldn't do that in favor of Dennis Shruder, like, come on. You got to do stuff that works in the playoffs. We all thought if they lost that game, they were done. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. We might have said things to the opposing that yesterday. I think we all know. Had they have lost that game yesterday, would anybody in Cleveland have picked the Cavs to win the series?
No, absolutely not.
No. So you got to do whatever it takes. You've got to put the lineups. You've got to install whoever you can to give yourself a chance.
Mary Kay was on Baskin and Phelps yesterday. Bombshell time from Mary Kay. Hit it.
They're making their decision based on who is going to give them the best chance to win games this season. And what they are seeing right now in practice, and what I actually saw on the first day of voluntary minicamp that was open to the media, was I saw what looked to me like a quality starting quarterback out there in Deshaun Watson, someone who had done the job before, understand it, operated efficiently. He won day one. He came back on the days that were closed to us, and he had ended up earning the starting reps, and he was going first based on what they had seen. What I've been hearing is that he emerged from that voluntary minicamp ahead of Shruder Sanders, and at this point right now, he has the inside track to win the starting job. And I just tweeted after I wrote that breaking news, after that I just said, if that's going to be the case, then you might as well just go and declare him that sooner than later, because they've got to get this first-team offense working together. They cannot wait until the end of training camp to let those guys cook and get all their work together. It's got to start happening now if they want to look like a functional offense in 2026.
That's Mary Kay on Baskin and Phelps. Should be on with us at 8:20 this morning. I don't like hearing it. Because I don't like hearing it don't mean it ain't true. It also helps that you and I predicted it. Did we not? I think a lot of people predicted it. So just hearing something that a lot of us predicted that would happen, it doesn't make it any better, but it's easier to take because he's the veteran. He's been playing in this league a long time, damn near 10 years now. I know he's not played in this league a long time, but he's been in the league a long time, damn near 10 years. He's the guy who's played in different offenses. And you can say that it was set up for failure for Shruder, and I will listen to it all day long, absolutely. But if that was set up for Shruder last year to be a failure, then it's still going to affect him going into this year. There's a lot of catching up that he had to do, and there's a guy that's already had catch up. And there's also a guy that has also played at an all-pro level, albeit 6 freaking years ago. But that's what this quarterback room is right now. And so I'm not surprised at all that Deshaun Watson would be the leader in the clubhouse at all. And I don't begrudge her for telling me bad news that I don't want to hear.
I was a little stunned at the timing. Like, we've heard...
I'm not.
Well, here's why. Because we've heard so much about Todd wants this settled by June. And I'm like, what's the rush? You've got a bad quarterback. Let's be honest.
I know what the rush is.
On paper, I want to be fair to Shruder, but on paper, if you just go by last year's numbers and by Deshaun Watson's numbers in Cleveland,
that's fine.
You've got what will be rated as one of the, out of 32 teams, 28th, 29th, 30, 31, 32 quarterback room in the entire NFL. What is the rush to get that settled by June? I think that's the only thing that kind of surprises me.
Well, one, are you okay with Watson being the starter? I think we need to settle that.
I don't love it. No,
I don't love it either, but I'm okay with the reasoning if it's Todd Monken making the call.
Oh, because so you just trust Todd right now, even though he's never coached a football game.
No, I trust. It's not that I trust him. I mean, I like Todd, but I can't sit there and trust him. He's never coached a football game. It's exactly what you said. But it goes to stand that the head coach of the football team would be the one making the decision. For all those reasons, you could see why he would probably want Deshaun Watson to be the starter to start off the year. He's got to win as soon as he can. And we could say whatever we want to about years past. This is a new offensive staff. Not just Todd Monken. It's a new offensive staff with him. So, yeah, there's going to be people who definitely want the veteran to give them the best chance to win to start off the year.
People want this thing to be earned. What has been earned? A couple of install days? Like, that's the only part of this. Like, I'm not crushing this.
Her opinion is that she wants them to make this decision now. I disagree with that, but I think you do have to be in a hurry to make the decision because of what we dealt with last year in training camp, where people are putting up the stupid completion percentages and things like that, which is dumb, and you know how dumb they are, and I'll continue to call them dumb. But either way, that's what they're trying to avoid. They don't want to have any of this crap going on.
That.
So they're going to try to make their decision as soon as they can. Damn the torpedoes.
I get that, but to say you have a quarterback competition and then to pronounce, and Mary Kay's reporting, I mean, I guarantee it. She talked to people in the organization, and they told her flat out, here's the situation. It's just so early. It's just so early, and I would not lose sleep over this either.
Sense. And people do lose sleep over it. One,
that the NFL veteran can pick up an offense faster than the rookie.
Because there's so many things when it comes to the fan base. Like, I can see where he's at when it comes to the football team. But you and I are conduits to the fan base. And I can certainly see where the fan base is, where they are in a row going, I don't want this guy playing for this football team again. All he represents is bad memories for me of bad football. And the only time that I was excited was when he wasn't playing for this team. All he represents is bad trades to me and bad memories where I'm trying to move forward. And then the other guy, who might be his backup in this scenario, has a very large fan base. Of course, they don't want to see it. So I'm not going to beat up Mary Kay for telling me bad news because I thought it was going to be the news we were going to get. How on earth could the guy who's been in the league nearly 10 years not be the leader? How on earth could that be? How could that be possible?
If he could walk and chew gum coming off the surgeries, and he can. So
that's what I'm saying. 216-474-0092. Are you okay with Watson starting? I don't want it to happen. I can understand the reasoning behind it. We'll have Dave Jenkins, Browns president, at 7:45. And guys, this wasn't some slappy giving a halftime speech. This was a respected veteran, and it matters. That veteran will tell you who at 7:22. Don't go anywhere. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. It's the number 10 in the morning on the Fan. Peter and Company, Julie.
92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Get primed for the Cavs playoffs on your ride home. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
So Mary Kay had a report. Deshaun Watson, the leader in the clubhouse, to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Get back to the Cavs in a halftime speech that changed this series, coming up at 7:22 this morning. Also, Dave Jenkins going to be he is the Browns president. He is spearheading the new stadium with the Cleveland Browns. He'll join us. He'll going to be on the show at 7:45 this morning. Also, Mary Kay will join us at 8:20. So Mary Kay had a report that sources telling her that Deshaun Watson is the leader to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And you said you don't know the hurry because she says name the starter now. I don't believe in naming the starter now. I don't.
And by the way, they have not officially named this, so we want to just be clear. It's a report from Mary Kay.
The report is that he's the leader to be the starter. Her opinion afterwards was that she believes they should just name him the starter now and move on. That's what she says. Watson is the leader in the clubhouse. Her opinion, though, is that they should name him the starter and move on. My opinion is that, no, there's no hurry to do so. And I want to keep... I don't know, okay? This part I don't know. It seems that he would be a hard worker. I don't want to have a situation where he kind of goes south on me. I'm going to need, as of right now...
You're saying Shruder?
Yes. As of right now, my quarterback room is 4 deep. I don't want to turn this into Shruder goes or something like that, and I got to go with Dylan Gabriel. Like, Dylan Gabriel to me is the one out on the way out the door, not Shruder Sanders. Taylon Green brings in an interesting conversation, but that's for another day. So this is my quarterback room until further notice. I got to leave that door open. I have to leave that door open. I totally understand why Deshaun Watson would be the leader. That I think a lot of people can understand that. It's just that they don't want him to be the leader. They don't want him to be the starter. I mean, he hasn't played good, competent football in 6 years.
Oof.
I mean, he really hasn't. Think about that, guys. Some of you folks have newborn children then, and they have never seen. My son's turning 7. He ain't never seen Deshaun Watson play good football.
He doesn't remember him as a top 5 player? Top 5 quarterback?
I mean, hell, you think about that time. We're talking about 3 presidential terms since he's played good football, for crying out loud. So it ain't fun to talk about. And I only ask, if he's named the starter, are you okay with it? Because I think from a fan sense, I've seen nothing but people going, you got to be bleeping me. But I think from a lot of people, if they go, well, from a football sense, I guess I could kind of understand it. He has been a veteran, even though he's been pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, it stands to reason he's going to pick up a playbook. He's had how many offensive coordinators? He's been around the league long enough. The practice stuff, like Deshaun, I know a couple of years ago he looked very rough in practice, but I heard Jonathan and Coach Riz yesterday, man, they were at each other's throats over this. And I listen, as passionate as Jonathan was, and obviously he has...
I love the segment.
He has Shruder stock that he is holding that he thinks is very valuable. You know, Lance kept going over it. And it's like, but Todd Monken doesn't care about last year. He doesn't care about how bad Deshaun Watson's looked in games. Maybe Andrew Berry cares, and so do you want Andrew Berry to meddle? Do you want management to step in and say, no, here's the game film? Like, Todd's seen all that. I do always reference it was just a half of football, but Todd was on the sidelines as the offensive, or up in the booth as the offensive coordinator for the Ravens when Deshaun Watson had his best half of football.
Well, there could be enough there
that's silly. I don't think that has predetermined anything.
That's not the reason why you wouldn't start him.
But here's what I will say. So Shruder fans that are listening that thought this would be some sort of pep rally, that it's not your guy because you think everybody is out to get him. I will say this, and I'm being dead honest. And I tweeted out yesterday that I thought this is a win-win for Shruder. And I know it's weird to hear that when it looks like he's going to have an uphill battle to try to seize control of a starting job. And, you know, you were going into the season going, hey, we got all these weapons. We got this rebuild offensive line, this retooled. Like, all right, let's see Shruder with all these guys. I'm just saying this is not the end of the world. I think this can be a win-win, and here's how. Obviously, I have said all along that, hey, maybe it's for the better that somebody who was a fifth-round pick, and there were so many moving parts last year, and now you got a new coach, a lot of tumult, a lot has been said, that let's let things slow down a little bit here. All right, most fifth-round draft picks, regardless of whether you believe he ever should have been drafted there and had the talent to be drafted there, most fifth-round picks do not in year 2 get, hey, you're the starter. Boom, here's the football.
I understand that.
Here, act like a starting quarterback. So this is a rarity to begin with. The set of circumstances for that to begin with.
But if you were dropping in, I'm sorry, but if you were dropping in as a non-Browns fan, say you are one of the Shruder fans, the Shruderians that are just here for him, I think it would be, as an outsider, I think it would be pretty ridiculous that you took Dylan Gabriel. Now, as a football person or a football fan, I'm like, why did you take Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round? Bad pick. Didn't make any sense. I don't care that so-and-so was, another team was willing to take him in the 4th round. That didn't wash compared to what we saw. But that you took him behind him, fine. But that you had a guy who's clearly more capable in Shedeur Sanders, physically capable, than Dylan Gabriel behind him. And then you have more of this, I think it would suffice to say that you would be pretty frustrated over that scenario and think that this is just the blind leading the blind, which I would say to all of them, hey, welcome to Cleveland Browns football over the last 26 years. Like, this is not exactly how things work out with the best possibilities here. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, hey, man, like, I'm not happy saying it, the bad news. I think a lot of people just want him to go away. A lot of people just want to be done with this era of Deshaun Watson being with the Cleveland Browns, and they want to move forward with it. I mean, there's a lot of people looking at him as possibly gumming up the works. There's people who don't think that any of the quarterbacks are any good for this team, and that all he could do is gum up the works for the real quarterback to come here in 2027. I think it's way premature to say that. If you got your heart set on one of them guys, you got to let the season play out first, because I still think you're probably too talented with too much of a roster that's better for you to be in that number 1 spot to get the pick of the litter. So there's things that got to play out before we go to that. But it's just, man, it's a downer. It's a downer.
Yeah,
some of the stuff about Shedeur ain't so much fun when people start getting in your mentions. But the whole Watson era has been nothing but a downer.
We know. But what I'm getting at is, I actually think this can turn out to be a really good thing for Shedeur.
How?
Three different reasons. One is knowing that, like, you always want Shedeur to act like a starting quarterback, you want all the backups to act, because at any moment you're going to get the chance, right? Mm-hmm. So for him to be able to, have a little bit of clarity, if that is the case, Mary Kay's reporting, but to have that clarity, have a goal in mind, and have a chip on your shoulder, and also have time, because last year the game was a little too fast for him. He made some amazing plays, but let's be honest, like, the game was just some of the back-breaking, all-time bad interceptions that he was throwing, not seeing the field, not processing, which is common with rookie quarterbacks. That's not some slight against Shedeur and his work ethic or anything like that. He's a rookie quarterback who is not going to be able to read defenses.
Understood.
Like 100% of rookie quarterbacks. Even the ones that have success are like, well, some of that was luck. Like year 2 when people get tape on you and all that stuff. So the ability to kind of sit back, learn a new coach, a new offense, new terminology. This is what Coach Riz was talking about yesterday.
Or last week. You didn't agree with me.
No,
I said that to you last week.
I said all that stuff was vital. What do you mean? I said it.
I
think it might be advantageous for him to come off the bench.
Was I hosting with somebody else?
Was I
hosting with somebody else? Because I said, could it possibly be a good thing for Shedeur?
I do think
that he is the number 2 quarterback, that it could be a possibly good thing for him. And I thought he disagreed with me. I thought you disagreed with me.
I think this could actually turn out to be a better situation, because also, if you don't believe in Deshaun Watson, which I think 98% of Browns fans don't believe in Deshaun, maybe it's 100, I don't know. Most people don't really believe in him. Then Shedeur is going to get a crack at this, and he will have had time to learn as a second-year player in this league and get some more seasoning under his belt and have a real training camp, by the way.
Might have been a guest.
Where he's not
I'm trying to think about it.
Where he's not the 4th stringer. And look, last year, let's be honest with how everything played out. You might not have loved the fact that he was the 4th string quarterback, but he also did not ascend on his own. Things were kind of gifted to him last year.
Dylan Gabriel didn't get hurt.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel got hurt. Joe Flacco got traded. and Kenny Pickett got traded.
That's true.
So it's
That's
not
true.
like Shruder ever earned the starting job last year. It was kind of given to him, which is fine. That happens sometimes. Gardner Minshew, I bring him up all
I
the
would
time.
have rather have Shruder than any of the other
But
slop
didn't
that
he
we
earn
ended up having.
He earned the retention of the job. They brought him in, and he wasn't.
By the numbers, he technically didn't. I mean, the numbers would state that he's a
I
guy
don't know.
that gets benched.
When people sit there and they throw the numbers in my
They
face,
would have just brought Dylan Gabriel back in then. Because Dylan Gabriel was
Dylan-
not.
his numbers-
he wasn't out the
atrocious.
whole season.
But that's what I mean.
But his
Dylan
numbers
was
were far better, Anthony. His numbers were supposedly far better.
They weren't far
so
better.
that's why I tell people.
They actually weren't. What numbers do you have that state he was far better?
When I get thrown in my face by people who hate
By the
Shruder,
analytics, they
that
were
sit
not
there-
far better.
When I get it thrown in my face by people who hate Shruder, how can you make an argument for a guy who had 10 interceptions opposed to, I think, 7 touchdowns, when another guy threw 7 touchdowns and only 2 picks, and I go, I don't know what game you're watching. I think you should go watch one quarter of each quarterback and tell me which quarterback you think is good. You could say neither of them are Hall of Famers, but one is better, and that's Shedeur Sanders, for crying out loud.
I am with you. Yeah, Shedeur brought some big play potential that was there. He did a great job of scrambling, getting out of harm's way. But the football stuff, this sitting in the pocket, diagnosing defenses, like most rookies, he failed. He was really bad. He was one of the worst quarterbacks the last 5 years by almost every metric in that. And I'm not even begrudging that. The people around him, the prep, the early in the season, the 4-string stuff, like none of that adequately prepared Shedeur to have the job. And I'm saying this offseason and now training camp and all that stuff as we get closer to football and into July and early August, like he's going to have that. He's going to have fair opportunity to be treated like a normal quarterback in the NFL or maybe a normal backup quarterback in the NFL. And everything we know about this league and Deshaun Watson of the last 6 years tells us he's going to get a shot.
Well,
this isn't curtains for Shedeur Sanders.
We got Mary Kay coming up at 8:20. I want to ask her why she thinks it's a good idea to name the starter already. And because I think I disagree. I think you may disagree with that. And I want to ask her that at 8:20 because I think we have to have a conversation with the listeners about this. 216-474-0092. We got a couple of people want to get in. We'll get to you guys. And this wasn't some slappy yelling at the team at halftime. This wasn't Will Ferrell in old school. This is a veteran, and he's respected. And Donovan Mitchell did the right thing in respecting Dennis Shruder. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Cavaliers won Game 5. The reason why in 5 minutes on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for QC.
development. No word on the impact, though, on players like Bryson DeChambeau or John Rahm. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
We get back to the Browns coming up here in about 6 minutes. We got to do this, though. This is a fantastic, fantastic thing that happened last night. Some people are taking it the wrong way. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing for your Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavaliers won last night, 125-120. They're up now in this series 3-2. And at halftime, because it was bad at halftime, Lima thought about leaving at halftime of the game last night. He was disgusted. He was posting memes. He was nervous. I actually got nervous because I didn't guarantee a win last night, but I knew plenty of people were going to make a joke of it and say I guaranteed a win last night, and plenty of people would have believed me. Or believe you. Like, plenty of people think that I'm a Michigan fan to the point where I get ridiculed on what, according to you, on butt nuts and all that other stuff. That, oh, he's just a big fat Michigan fan up there in Cleveland. Like, I'm not. I'm not a Michigan fan. I just don't hate him. Anyway. So I was nervous. A lot of people were nervous. It's like, oh my God, they lose this. We're going back to 19-win land. This is unbelievable. This is terrible. I can't believe this is going on. And they needed somebody to step up and give them what for. And it was Dennis Shruder. And people were wondering why on earth it had to be Dennis Shruder. Well, I'll tell you why, but you know what? Let's let Donovan Mitchell tell you about Dennis Shruder first. Hit it.
It's funny, I said to him, he said something, I'm not going to say what he said, but he spoke at length probably for about 2 or 3 minutes at halftime just about what he saw and what we could have done it better as a group. And then after the game, we were like, damn, I guess you were just talking to yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? And got himself going, right? And, you know, the biggest thing is when you have a leader like that, guy who's been there in those moments, to stay level-headed as a collective. And he really led the charge, especially in that fourth, right? But just being everywhere. And we look at the 19 points, but, I mean, his defensive presence, just being around, just being there, causing havoc, and then making them pay, especially when they're denying James and denying myself.
That's good leadership. That's a good example. A good answer given. Do you have anything before we hear from Dennis?
Yeah, it's just funny. Remember the text that Max Drew sent last year and then couldn't find the bucket, couldn't find the basket at all last year.
I totally forgot about that. Game. Oh, my gosh, you're right.
And then people went after Max, and I'm like, all right.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, you know, he's trying to get people fired up just because he had a bad game. People went after Max. Yeah. But in this case, Dennis not only talked it at halftime, but he backed it up. And in the fourth quarter, you can see a lot of these Dennis highlights. Guys, they are denying James Harden the ball 40 feet from the basket. So that allows some avenues, some lanes for Dennis to go to work and identify a mismatch, take advantage, seize control. And he did. He had 11 points in the fourth quarter, 5 of 8 from the field, and then he played all 12 minutes, and he played defense.
Well, at least he was given the opportunity. Kenny brought it up in the postgame how he benched him in game 3, essentially, right? Didn't even pull him off the bench at all. And he owned up to that mistake. At least we heard earlier about Donovan wanting Dennis to stay in, but Kenny owned up to at least he got him in the game at all.
And look, part of me, it kind of sucks that, you had to make a trade for 2 guys that were going to have this kind of an impact. It's the good and the bad of that. Like, the good is, hey, we found 2 guys at the deadline. The bad is, man, this was the most expensive roster in the NBA, and you're looking for dogs. And who are your dogs? And I know James Harden's not typically considered a dog, but I watched him defensively yesterday.
Got into it with R.J. Barrett last night.
He did his patented stiff arm over by the bench. Like, do you know how strong James Harden is?
Strong man.
Sending guys flying like he does. But you don't think of James like that, but what you can't deny is that dude is unafraid. He's going to take shots. He does not care if he committed 4 straight turnovers. You have a bunch of guys on that team that are scared. Like, they don't want to make mistakes. So you need some guys like Dennis Shruder and James Harden, and you had to trade for those guys, with 30 games left in the season.
Dave Jenkins, Browns president, going to join us at around 7:40 this morning. Here is Dennis Shruder on what he said to the team at halftime.
I just want to see Cavs basketball, how we played when we first got here. And we did a great job even throughout the season when we first got here. But I think we got a little bit away from that. We need the big guys. I mean, J.A. and Evan Mobley are the key to our team because we got two superstars.
Man, I totally forgot about that Max Strus text he sent everybody last year, and then went 0 for 9, I think, from the field was what it ended up being. You're right. Like he went out there, he said it, and then he backed it up in the fourth quarter. I mean, when you score 11 of your 19 in the fourth quarter, he had a hot hand. Donovan recognized that. I think the halftime speech probably helped Donovan recognize that because then there was the mini controversy. They won, so I think it's a big controversy, but there were some people who were going, why was Kenny letting Donovan dictate who goes in, who goes out, and instead of Kenny making the decision to put Donovan in? Then there were people with questions of the recognition of Kenny, wondering whether or not. I think we're getting a little bit too deep with it. This is the NBA. Donovan is the supreme leader of this team, and when you see another veteran getting a hot hand going in on it, you're gonna stick with it.
And I'm not gonna lie, like long term, the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell and the rest of these playoffs, making a deep run and a player option, and then could he get paid $70 million? Like, you don't see a lot in the NBA playoffs, I'm going to be honest, where your best player is going to stay on the bench for somebody like Dennis Schroeder. And that would never happen with LeBron.
It was only like another possession or two.
I know,
it wasn't
I know.
like it was.
I'm just saying, he didn't come in. When did Donovan actually check into the game in the fourth quarter of a life or death game that we're all sitting there like normally? Like Kobe Bryant just plays the whole fourth quarter. Like LeBron just plays, most of the fourth quarter. Those guys, and the fact that they were that comfortable with it because Donovan has now had the 2 duds in Toronto, and yeah, he made the incredible buzzer beater, in that game yesterday at the end of the first. But let's be honest, I mean, Donovan has not played like a superstar at all in this series. He had 2 solid games.
Well, the first 2 games he did,
but I'm used to Donovan throwing up 40. 50 in playoff games with needing to put his team on his back. And he's needed to put his team on the back in Toronto. He was incapable. Couldn't do it. I mean, it's a 3-level scorer that's only really shooting threes. Yesterday, I will say that's not fair. Yesterday, he started his rip-through move. He started getting to his spots a little bit better and breaking down the defense. You need to see more of that.
I think Donovan came in at 2:47 left to go in the fourth quarter.
Holy cow.
Yesterday, 216-474-0092. But I thought it was good leadership by Donovan. It's easier to say that when they won the basketball game. I don't think anybody's more confident. I really don't. Picking up the vibes from the fans. My phone last night, I said I didn't pay attention to socials during the game. Hand to God, I didn't pay attention to my phone during the game. Didn't answer text during the game. Hand to God, we were on separate threads. I didn't answer a damn thing. I didn't read them until after the game. Honestly, and some of them I didn't read until I woke up this morning. I rolled over, went right to bed. And I did not pick up very much positivity out of it. They are not out of the woods. I think what Charles Barkley says is right. Charles Barkley was very critical of them at halftime, talking about being hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray. And I think a lot of Cavs fans agree because he is talking about the finals. He is not talking about just this series. And if you play like that, if you have those turnovers, like we're not out of the woods, it's good that they won, but let's be serious. You play like that, you allow that type of pressure, you commit those turnovers, you're not good on the glass, you're going to get beat in the second round, and then we'll just get ready. We're delaying, to a lot of fans, we may just be delaying these emotions. And I might be fighting those emotions or fighting off the truth about the team because obviously I want them to win. I want this thing to continue to a point where they want to all come back. I can't guarantee they're going to make the NBA Finals. I know what I said earlier this year, so I'm going to have to eat a little bit on that. But I want this thing to go far enough so we can calm our heads and come back in 2026, 27 instead of losing our minds. Because if you lost that game last night, it's DEFCON 1. Lima's not even watching Game 6. People are freaking out. And then if you lose Game 6 and they were to close you out, then people are really freaking out. And I don't think you're bringing this team back. And I think that probably starts with Donovan Mitchell. It could still happen. You still got one more game that you got to win. But damn it, like that's what we're facing right there in the hairy eyeball. So I got to get this thing to go further so everybody just calms down. And we go into 2026, 27, which might not be the answer to some people out there. Get to some phones real quick. Cavs Conversation is brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. Hard iced tea that asks you to please enjoy that hard iced tea responsibly. Deshaun Watson looks like he's going to be the starter. Mary Kay Cabot, or he's the leader in the clubhouse for the starter. Mary Kay Cabot said that earlier yesterday. She will join us coming up at 8:20. Derek in the truck, you're first up on the fan. Hello, Derek.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Wonderful, Derek. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm perfectly fine with Deshaun being the starting quarterback.
All right.
I have no problem with that whatsoever, and I agree with Anthony. This is probably a good thing for Shruder to sit and marinate for a little while. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Derek, thank you very much for the call. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. Like, everything has been done with the idea of making him a starter. Shruder, at least for this year. Everything's been done for it. Now, I brought this up last week, and I don't know if it was Lima who disagreed. Maybe I should take that back with what I said last segment to you. Somebody vehemently disagreed with me. I think it might have been a guest. Because I thought, could it be possible that Todd looks at Shruder and go, hey, you were forced into action. You weren't prepared properly last year. He can throw Kevin under the bus if he wants to. It doesn't matter. That's why he's here. They had a problem at head coach. That's why you have a new head coach. You weren't prepared properly for that moment. You weren't prepared properly to take the reins. We need to prepare you properly here. Let's give you a breath again. Let you see the field from a different aspect, and let you prepare to be a starter, because we're probably going to need you at some point. Because most teams, even the good teams, go through multiple quarterbacks throughout a season. He's not going to say even the good teams, because they're going to conduct themselves as if they're a good team and they can win. But that's coming from me. The best teams in the NFL usually have to play, at this point, multiple quarterbacks throughout a year. So we're going to be ready to go to you at some point. You have to prepare yourself accordingly.
And I also mention, like, this isn't over. This isn't Deshaun Watson's just a starting quarterback. We've got a lot of runway here. Like, what a great story it would be if, hey, on April 29th, Mary Kay's reporting this because obviously she has pretty good intel from people in the building, and then by late July, early August, hey, guess who's ascended? Shruder Sanders. Like, wouldn't you guys feel great about that? So I think the notion that this is curtains for Shruder, that this is the end, like, guys, I think this can actually be a positive thing for Shruder. I know it's not. We all want things in the immediacy of today's society. We want it now. And if you're a Shruder fan, you bought the jersey, and you're on YouTube right now commenting about how dumb all of this is, like, we want it now. We want it now. We want the league to recognize Shruder Sanders is the starting quarterback right now. I would honestly say it's kind of irrelevant who it is right now. But with that said, like, all right, we have a goal. We have a goal in place. We love the way that he approaches the job every day, the way he talks about things. He's a philosopher in many ways. All right, let's see the comeback trail. Let's see Shruder with a chip on his shoulder. Is that necessarily the worst thing in the world?
Well, Mary Kay says that they should name the starter sooner than later, like as soon as possible. I want to ask her why, coming up at 8:20 this morning. Up next, 5 minutes away, Dave Jenkins is going to join us on the show. Folks, we're getting a new stadium. Groundbreaking is today. It's happening. It's all happening with your Cleveland Browns. Dave Jenkins, Browns president, going to join us in studio here in about 5 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. It's more.
Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
It was 1950 in the cold and rain when my father took me to my very first game. Said the Browns are gonna show you how the game is played. Here we go again.
A great day. Wouldn't you say it?
Are we getting shovels in the dirt?
Today's the day, I believe. Will they be gold shovels?
Who has the big scissors? Do we have big scissors?
Groundbreaking. I mean, that's ribbon cutting. This is groundbreaking.
Oh, I like ribbon cutting too.
All right. I want to be like one of the guys with the scissors, like the nihilist in Big Lebowski. Dave Jenkins joining us, Browns president.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
The best scissors ever.
He is leading the project for the new stadium, and today is a special day for the Browns and Browns fans everywhere. Is the groundbreaking, the official groundbreaking is today. Obviously, an exciting day for everybody. Dave, thanks for joining us in studio.
Great to be here. Wouldn't start my momentous day any other way than to be here with you guys.
I don't believe you, but thank you very much.
I'm here.
I'm here.
You guys don't have to answer to any of this, but like Joe Banner on social media, I got the stadium renovation and I took it. You got a stadium that is going to be, you got a dome in Northeast Ohio that is going to be built. I think that's a pretty big deal, and that's a sizable accomplishment considering there's politics involved. There is so much else. You've got the state legislature that has to wait. You got county commissioners. You've got a mayor. You've got a voting populace. And you are the guy, I think, that is going to get the most credit for getting this done. It's a pretty big deal.
It's a big deal, but it was a massive team effort. And today is a big day. We're not really great at stopping and celebrating the wins, but you can't help in those little quiet moments to think about, wow, what are we doing here? And how big of a moment this is for this entire region and for the state of Ohio, the first dome stadium in Ohio, and the single largest economic development project in the history of Northeast Ohio. So that means jobs, that means tax revenue, that means quality of life enhancements. So we're really excited.
I've enjoyed watching the process. Does it, for you, almost I kind of think about it as the draft, like guys walk across stage, it's like, well, you're just starting. It's not where it ends. How much do you have to do now that there's actually going to be shovels in the dirt and things actually being built? What do you have to oversee after all this?
What we've said all along is we're working hard for the chance to work hard. So the real work starts now. You got to be on time. You got to be on budget. You got to be on design intent. You got to sell the thing. So there's a lot of work to do, and that's what we'll be focused on for the next 36 months.
What was the most important aspect to you, Jimmy and Dee, everybody, when it came to building something like this that was going to have a roof? We've seen some of the design, I would say the things that people are very excited about having fans closer to the field and this new wave of how stadiums are going to be, considering the fan involvement and all that. What would you say was the most, on your checklist of things, what was the most important?
The brand is built on the backs of our fans, backs of our players. So building something that having a process that kept our players and our fans at the forefront of the process was really important to us. So you'll see it in arguably the best locker room in the NFL. Maybe people don't see that a whole bunch, but that's going to exist, and great spaces for players, families, and friends. But then also ensuring that the entire fan journey, whether it's how you get there, where you park, how you get in the building, and then what you experience once you get in the building, that only happens by keeping the fans at the forefront of our process.
Dave Jenkins, Browns president, joining us on the show. So one of the things that I've been critical of with other, like I got to say, like Vegas, it comes off a little bit antiseptic to me, but you're taking in ideas from just about everything. So when you're taking in an idea from another stadium, was there anything that kind of hit for you guys? Like, we'd like to have something like this from maybe U.S. Bank. We'd like to have something like this from Allegiant. We'd like to have something like it. Like, was there anything there that you kind of like, okay, we'd like this, but we're still going to do our own thing here?
Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time touring different stadiums. In fact, everywhere we go, we're trying to pick up different ideas. But you love the natural light of U.S. Bank Stadium. You love the noise of U.S. Bank Stadium. You love the modern, bright feel of Allegiant. And it's a very similar actual construction to SoFi Stadium in LA by going deep into the ground. So there's a lot of different takeaways. But you still have to make it ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, the commissioner is going to be here today. Obviously, you've had conversations about, attracting events, and you've talked about the team that is involved in coordinating, those efforts. But everybody, the first thing people are going to ask when they see that the shovel's going to the ground, is this going to be a place that we're going to have a Super Bowl? What kind of conversations have you had with the commissioner about that?
So the commissioner has already said publicly that the stadium will be Super Bowl ready. It's can the region bear a Super Bowl? So I think even recently in New Orleans, which is a city that does a lot of large-scale events, and by the way, their stadium was 50 years old when the Super Bowl was hosted there 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had some challenges with hotel rooms. So we've got to solve that big piece, is infrastructure.
So you guys are going to be leading the efforts to push the community, spearheading those efforts to get everybody riled up to say, hey, we can do this. Cleveland, Ohio, Northeast Ohio can host a Super Bowl, but we're going to need some help. Have you implored the business leaders and the everybody involved in the hotels and all of that, all the developers?
We haven't quite had those conversations yet, and I think those will be further down the road. But you have to have a region that can bear it, and you have to have population and jobs to support population and tourism, and you can't build a bunch of hotels for one event. But I think there'll be a slow build to that.
What do you think fans will be most excited about with the new stadium?
I think what I touched on earlier is just the thoughtfulness that went into it and the unique experiences that the different products we have within the building will present. So over 20 different premium experiences. Over 70% of the building will be general admission. So, but then everyone gets to celebrate or to participate in the grand concourses and the roof and the largest indoor end zone scoreboard in the league and the closest first row to the field and the closest last row to the field. So there's just a lot of amenities being built into it.
Yeah, that's so. How far do we know how far away it is at Heinz Bank Field now? Do we? Because I'm still trying
it's
to in my
pretty close
mind
now that we put the field seats in.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a little bit of a different experience. So even when we do these field level suites in the new building, around the league, your seats in a field level suite you're standing there and you're being blocked by large football players and pads. In our building, you're actually going to go up to you're going to have your own set of stairs into the bowl for your seats for that suite.
Kidding.
So just trying to be as thoughtful as we can about it.
Oh yeah, because then you get to see everything there. And then you said at the top, basically, so like it's going to feel like the fans are really on top of everybody.
Absolutely. In this one concourse that serves the entire building, there's only 15 upper deck rows. So it's going to be a pretty intimate feel.
Dave Jenkins is in with us now, so we'll ask you a third rail question about PSLs because it's something that comes up when new stadiums are built. Buffalo, where you're from originally, or you're from upstate New York, but Buffalo down the road, that is something that's come up there. Look, people are driving by gas stations looking at the price of gas, and they're wondering, is this going to be something we can afford, this new era of Browns football? What can you tell them? How can you assure them that, yes, this can be affordable to follow your team and continue holding season tickets?
So the reality is there will be PSLs, and that's an important industry-wide component to financing these large stadiums now. The prices have gotten so high that PSLs are being relied on. And the other reality is the first PSLs that get released are going to scare people because the price points are going to be the best seats with naturally the highest PSLs. But like I said earlier, 70% of our seats are going to be non-premium. So not have their own club spaces, but it's indoor, so it's going to feel like a club. And those will be lower priced PSLs. So it's really important for us to have entry points for all types of fans.
When it comes to everything that goes around it, not just the stadium, but I've seen some of the renderings there, and again, it's hard for me to put together. I'm not a really good artist or anything like that in my mind. By the way, Dave Jenkins joining us, Browns president, in studio. What are some of the other amenities that will be going around the stadium that will excite some of the fans out there?
So we've got about $1 billion development going on around the $2.6 billion stadium, and that's going to be comprised of 1,500 for-rent apartments, almost 500,000 square feet of experiential retail space. We're going to do a 3,000-seat music venue that's going to be active over 100 nights a year. We're going to do 2 hotels that add up to about 450 rooms. And then we're even exploring some other ways to get people to the district. So it's going to be a really active, viable space.
What is it going to take to get a rapid stop right there on the grounds? Because obviously we know one has a terminal right there at the airport, but how do you get it with all the digging and the rail line that's there? How do you accomplish something like that? Because I think that would be the biggest win of all of this, is if people could get there from a timely manner all over Northeast Ohio via the Rapid.
So we're in conversations with RTA, and there is a will. Now we've got to your question, find the way, and part of it is funding. So we've identified about $80 million of infrastructure needs to ensure that. One thing we've always said is you got to get it right. You can't build a new stadium and all the things we've gone through for the last year and a half, the decision and the why and the how, and not get it all right. So infrastructure, getting people, to your point, to the building is really important. The RTA would be a great relief. So we found this, identified the site where we want their station, and now it's a matter of how do you fund it.
Are there federal dollars that could be committed to that?
We've been recently awarded $35 million from the state. We've got some asks of the federal government. The RTA piece, I think, is going to take a little longer, but yes, there are ways to find subsidies.
Well, how many tests will you guys go through before opening day for that? So it isn't just like, oh my God, because everybody expects there's going to be obviously some bugaboos as you work your way through on opening day, but it'll be here before we know, and there's going to be this grand thing that people want to see, and the last thing you want is a bunch of reports of people backed up down the highway and things like that. How do you go about testing that?
So the other thing we've said is, in 5 years, you can't look back and say we should have, could have, would have done something or spent $1 on an expert. So we've utilized experts throughout the process, including traffic and infrastructure experts. We'll continue to test. AI, believe it or not, plays a role in simulating traffic and identifying where's the best rideshare drop-off and where should the RTA station be and those sorts. Where should the exits be? Mm-hmm. And then our goal is to be complete by April and May of 29. So several months before the start of the season. So we'll have some large-scale events before, and that'll be a bit of a practice run.
What's the biggest complaint you've heard? What's the maybe the biggest misconception you've heard from start to, now I can't say finish, but shovels going in the ground today? Since this entire process has taken place?
Not to sound whiny, but, we've taken the high road throughout the process, and it's been a bit of a slugfest to get here, and there's probably a lot of mistruths that we're doing it selfishly, or that we're just trying to make money off it, and we're not thinking of the fans, or, hey, tradition wants it to stay on the lakefront. But in fairness to all of us, I don't think we'll really appreciate, including us, what we're building until it's finally done and you walk in that building.
Have you ever been in the Muni lot?
I have been in the Muni lot.
Okay. What do you say to those fans that for 40 years have been getting the barbecues ready, getting the lobster, especially the people up front? I mean, their setups are just
I've never had lobster in the Muni lot. Tell me about this lobster. I've never had it in the Muni lot.
I mean, it's
crawfish.
But what would you say to them? Because that has been a bedrock of being a Cleveland Browns fan.
I said earlier, the brand is built on the backs of our fans. And we've said recently, this is a 176-acre Muni lot. Let's bring that same energy, that same tailgating, that same spirit to the new site and leverage old traditions to build new ones. And it's going to be really, really exciting.
Is the shovel gold today? Plated anyway?
No.
Do you get to keep the shovel?
That's not Cleveland.
You get to keep the shovel, though, right?
At least we'll keep the shovel.
Okay,
we'll send one to you guys.
Oh, well, I don't need the shovel. You're the one who needs the shovel. You're putting this together. I'm just over here going, wow, look at that. That's really nice. That's all I do. Dave, can't thank you enough for the time. I know today is a big day. Looking forward to seeing it later on today.
Thank you.
And a pretty momentous occasion for the Cleveland Browns. Thank you very much.
Appreciate all you do.
Yes, sir. David Jenkins joining us here, Browns president joining us in studio. Going to be nice to have a tailgate again, too.
Heck yeah!
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that while Dave was sitting there, so I'll say it on my own.
What happened to that in the city? We used to have fun over there on West 6th.
Yeah, well, not everybody in the area is against fun, so I look forward to being able to have a tailgate again with everybody.
Getting started.
Mary Kay Cabot going to join us at 8:20 this morning. Coming up in 5 minutes, Cavs fans are following your advice. Whose advice? Oh, I think we know who. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
The Motor City has its hero. Faced with a shocking first-round exit, the 1 seed, Detroit Pistons were saved by Cade Cunningham.
hits, rides, and floats it in with Barnes defending.
You got better pros on your team.
Step back, Barrett had the bigger Mobley in his face. 9 seconds, time's a-wasting. Barnes got the three, missed it, tapping battle, no!
And they're not losing tonight.
Rebound Cleveland, and with 3 seconds to go, a foul, and the Cavaliers are going to get out of here with a 3-2 series lead.
The Cavs ain't losing this year. There's no way. No way.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
That's what happens when you get a Ken Carman guarantee.
Oh, so now you're going to claim that you guaranteed it.
I didn't guarantee.
I hope that coffee burns your face. I hope your trip's ruined next week.
Oh, come on, don't say that.
Yes.
No, I'm being facetious.
I almost said other words I couldn't say on the air. That's how much I despise you.
Audio courtesy of ESPN. No, I didn't guarantee it. I did not guarantee it. I just said they ain't going to lose. They can't. They're not going to lose because they can't lose. And they couldn't lose, and they didn't lose. Even though for a while, it looked like they were definitely going to lose. And Lima was getting ready to hide from 18,000 people in the arena.
Oh, yeah.
And I swear to you, I did not check my mentions or anything throughout that game. I tried to roll over, go right back to bed. I just checked the text to see if there was anything important from you guys. I had a slew of them. And I think a lot of people – now, I'm not trying to rip you here, okay? If I want to rip you, I'll rip you. No. Because I fought this. I hate this type of outlook on things because I think it's a dour-ass way to look at life. However, I think a lot of people have followed the advice finally. For you. I don't like it, but they're coming around on your side, at least when it comes to the Cavs, which, by the way, with another team in town, I do want to mention 500 baseball throughout the month of April coming up later in the show. That's a promise in the 9 o'clock hour. I got to get that in because I'm pretty satisfied, and I'll tell you why coming up later. Also, Todd Monken's going to join us in studio tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. So at this time tomorrow morning, head coach of the Browns, Todd Monken, is going to join us at 8 a.m. with a live microphone. So that's going to be a lot of fun for Owen and a lot of fun for John Boy up there. For us, we're going to have a blast. Coming in hot's going to start early at 8 a.m. with Todd Monken. With this team, there's been a lot of fans, man. I told you I checked my social media this morning. I checked my phone this morning. I didn't get one damn message after that game. I got plenty during it, and they were all negative. All negative. And there was reasons because of it, but they were all negative. And I'm just saying this has been a call-out time for people in the past. I'm not going to do that here. I don't need to do that here, and I shouldn't do that here. It's a 3-2 series. You expect more of them. So, Anthony, you win. You win. They're going to keep their expectations low, and then they may be pleasantly surprised. And I think part of that is that if I keep telling them that this is the most expensive roster in the NBA, and I keep telling them that they should be a top 4 finals quality team, at least Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to go, yeah, I'm going to believe you. I don't need some pep rally. This isn't some scrappy bunch that is having a Cinderella run. This is a very expensive team that should be expected of. Guys, I can understand that. I really can. We have been calling each other out all year about negativity or overly positive. Let's just call it what it is, man. Let's call the reality of what this is. There's a lot of pressure on this basketball team to perform. And until they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I better, for lack of a better term, sack up and get ready to deal with it on Friday night. Mm-hmm. And I better get ready to deal with it. Hopefully they close it out on Friday night. And I have to say hopefully because they are the better team. And without Brandon Ingram, and you said Scotty Barnes tweaked something as well.
Yeah, quad.
Without Brandon Ingram.
Poked in the I.
And the I. I'm having a problem doing it. With that, they should win this series, and they should probably win Game 6 coming up on Friday. I don't know what the spread is, but they should win Game 6. But we're going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this going forward, and I can't sit here and rip the fans. I can't do it. I could before you get to a point where it's like we're not just here to enjoy it anymore. You have to ask more of them, and I can understand that. I got what you're saying, and I understand.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, once you're in the playoffs and you're playing these games, like, yeah, right now, I'll admit, does not look good for the long run, the deep run in the playoffs. Has not looked good. Donovan Mitchell, that is something that needs to be dealt with because he's not Donovan Mitchell. Yes, I saw a little bit more of a hop to his step yesterday, But in the end, I mean, he was outplayed by Shruder. He was outplayed by Harden in the second half, outplayed by Mobley. So this is a little concerning. So I have to set that aside, though, in the meat of the game. Like, I'm not going to lie, 4 minutes to go in the first half, I wanted to leave. And I thought it was over. I thought the season was over. I thought this core group was done.
You weren't going to watch Game 6, were you?
I already told you I wasn't watching Game 6.
I actually believe you weren't going to watch Game 6.
That was not going to happen.
Still think you probably would have had a couple of drinks and watched Game 6 because you're a drunk and you like to watch basketball. So I think that's
true.
two things. And you didn't even have to work on Saturday morning. Either way, go ahead.
But it's funny because how these things can shift in a playoff series. Look at the Houston Rockets. Now that they won again against the Lakers, they're feeling new life. They feel like they have solved a lot of the issues they were having in that series. Look at the Knicks. The Knicks were down in that series, and people started counting them out against Atlanta. Philadelphia with a spirited effort. Like, these things can change, and I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that in the fourth quarter, I'm also monitoring what's happening between Detroit and Orlando, and we're playing with a lead. And I'm like, oh boy, the longer that series goes, and maybe things can happen in that series. Like, I'm starting to think Eastern Conference Finals again. So the roller coaster of emotions of the fragile psyche of a playoff basketball watcher, it was all in play yesterday. And then to see other guys come through and step up when they needed to. So I wasn't thinking in that moment, yeah, we were the favorites, we should win, or we're the most expensive roster, we're a double apron team, we have Donovan Mitchell and James. I wasn't thinking any of that. I was thinking possession by possession. And to me, that's the beauty of the NBA playoffs. That's also the horror of the NBA playoffs. And all I know is this: we're one game away from being favored in the Eastern Conference semis. And I think there is an element of excitement there because of that. And we could have home court advantage in that series.
But I can't, again, I'm not going to sit there and turn it on the fans, because if you beat Toronto, you're supposed to beat Toronto.
Sure. Yes.
If you beat,
we're not hanging up a banner for beating the Raptors.
You think about this. Can I just go back to something? I know that this is going to sound like a right turn. I said I was satisfied with 2 rookies being in the lineup, a bullpen that needs to get settled down, a closer that is starting to find his rhythm in that role. I was satisfied with 500 baseball in April. And there were a couple people who ripped and go, you always give them an excuse, and this is why you're always going to get this. And I'm going, okay, fine, whatever. But the Cavs, the reason I bring that up is that I can look at the Guardians and say, you are more of a plucky group. They don't spend a lot of money. Right. They're a young team that doesn't spend a lot of money. The Cavs, to me, we made jokes about the Mets yesterday and what Francisco Lindor's dealing with and all that stuff. The Cavs are the Mets of the NBA. Yeah, I thought they'd be more like the Ravens, which are still I still think that comparison is pretty apt. But if we're going to do in-season sports, the Cavs are the Mets of the NBA. You're an expensive team. You better get over the hump. You've been a disappointment in the postseason, even getting to the postseason. So I think then that when we go into this next series, obviously I'm a Cavs fan. I want them to win. And I think that they needed a game like yesterday to fight it out, show that they're not soft, grind it out, not just wait for another team to die, grind it out and go win. Find a guy like Dennis Shruder, who's a veteran, to go out and hit some big shots there. Evan Mobley became empowered. I think it does matter. It does matter. However, when we get ready for the next series, if we close things out on Friday, or God forbid have to do it on Sunday, if we close things out, we still have to deal with either a resurgent Detroit team that came up out of the crypt or a plucky Orlando team that a lot of people didn't think was going to give them any problem whatsoever. So it's still going to be more of a, can you answer the challenge by one of these two younger teams that are ready to fight you, things like that. So for a fan to feel that way, hey, man, it's been a few years of disappointment. I'm not going to hold you to it. There's a couple of things that I'm going to hold people to. Like, again, I didn't think you got outfought last year. I think that Indiana was just a better team. But last year was last year. This year's this year. You are a better team than Toronto. And I thought last night kind of proved that, hey, you're going to have to do things differently here, because that game against Toronto on Sunday, where they just kind of waited for Toronto to die, when they got out to an 11-point lead, when they got out to an 8-point lead, and Toronto just kept making runs and coming back, even in a sloppy basketball game. That's what pissed me off the most about him, and I didn't see that yesterday, obviously.
And Kenny got out of his comfort zone.
Yes, he did.
Crunch time lineup, Harden, Strus, Merrill, Allen, and Shruder, and it worked to perfection. So sometimes you got to get a little creative. You can't be stubborn in the playoffs. Even the best teams have to shake things up. I remember Warriors teams that won championships altering their starting lineups in the NBA Finals. So some will look at that as a weakness. I look at it as, hey, you've got to do whatever is necessary. He tried to start Max Strus last night, did not work. But at least he's pressing whatever buttons, pulling whatever levers he has. And I know this, as much consternation and as much as we have been down on the Cavs, since they went to Toronto, they're one win away, and now having, again, a pretty optimistic outlook for them being able to continue playing basketball well into the Eastern Conference and maybe even get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
The report, Deshaun Watson has the lead for the Browns starting quarterback job. The opinion, the Browns should make that known sooner than later. Mary Kay shared both of those. She'll join us in 5 minutes on The Fan.
struck out 9, and for the first time in his career, issued no walks. Chase DeLauder, 2 hits, including a 2-run single. Brian Rocchio, 3 hits. He would score twice. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Well. Time to talk some Browns. And it's time to talk to Mary Kay Cabot on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Mary Kay comes to us from the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
We're doing okay. Now, I'm going to ask you about your opinion about why the Browns should make it known who the leader in the clubhouse or who the starter is momentarily. But you had a report yesterday that sources tell you that Deshaun Watson is the leader for QB1. Is that correct?
He's ahead in the competition coming out of voluntary minicamp in the early part of the offseason program is what I reported.
Okay. Was that surprising to anybody with you? It really wasn't surprising to me. We talked about it last week. There's a lot of things that would just naturally go for Deshaun Watson, but was it surprising to you?
No, not really. I mean, I watched the first day of voluntary minicamp, and I wrote that day that Deshaun won the day, and then you go into reporting mode, and you find out what happened on the second day and the third day, and how did it go? And then you keep talking to as many people as possible, and you sort of find out where things stand right now coming out of the first part of the offseason program, which has been going on for almost a month now. So they kind of know what they're looking at, and they know what's going on out there on the field. And he did emerge from the voluntary minicamp ahead in the competition. And I know that, created a lot of stir yesterday, but I don't think it should be shocking. I mean, you're talking about a 3-time Pro Bowler who's started 72 games and taken teams to the playoffs versus, some young guys. So I just don't really think that, that this should have been the tidal wave that it was yesterday.
It certainly was a tidal wave, Mary Kay. A lot of people very invested into these quarterbacks and the decision-making for this team this year. And the one thing that I'm a little curious about is, what is this June rush to have a quarterback named on the depth chart as QB1? Why do you think Todd Monken seems to be adamant that in this situation, because we've had some QB competitions go right up until the first week of the season, why June? Why is that important?
Okay, well, first of all, Todd Monken himself, we know that. He said that he would like to have his depth chart set, his depth chart. He didn't say that he would like to name his starting quarterback by June 11th. He said he would like to have his depth chart set, and I think that's vitally important. You have to have the depth chart set by then because you absolutely want to go into training camp with your QB1 and give him all the reps. But I would argue that you want to have that depth chart set. I would do it now. If Shruder was ahead and you thought he was going to be your guy, then give him all the first team reps. If Deshaun is ahead, then give him the first team reps heading into OTAs. And here's why I feel this way. And I don't think they feel this way. This is my opinion. They only have 13 quality practices in OTAs and the mandatory minicamp. You have got to get your first team offense working together. And why is that? Brand new offense, brand new terminology, brand new 5 starters on the offensive line, rookie left tackle, rookie center, rookie receivers. You need to get the offense working together. You can't be splitting up reps. Even now, I don't think it's a wise decision to be dividing up those precious first team reps. This offense has been horrible the last 2 years. You need to figure out who are my starting 11, get them working together as much as possible, and conduct as many 11-on-11s and situational football drills as you possibly can with your starters.
Mary Kay, I actually totally agree. I know sometimes we disagree on these sort of things. I 100% agree with you on this, and I'll take it a step further. It's also fair to the rest of the team where, there's going to be media availability. It's easier to answer a question, and there's still always going to be questions about the quarterbacks. It's the Browns, for crying out loud, and we're not set at the position yet. We may not be for the entire year, but it's just easier to answer a question of how is Deshaun or how has Shruder taking over the reins of this team instead of who do you think should be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? That can be a problem for everybody involved. So I have to agree with you on that. How much ground could Shruder possibly make up? I mean, he's only going into his second off season, or second training camp, I should say, and you're going against a guy who at one point was all pro level. I know that was a long time ago, but it's not like the guy forgot how to work out.
Right. He did not forget how to work out, and it just looks different when you watch a Pro Bowl quarterback operate in practice. I mean, even back in December when he was out there practicing for 3 weeks, there were people out there within the organization that were saying, that he's the most talented quarterback that's out there right now. And I don't think that's a shocking revelation. Once again, he was a first-round pick. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he seems and appears to be healthy right now. And again, if the Browns had emerged from voluntary minicamp in the first month of the offseason program, believing that they were going to move forward with Shruder Sanders, then it would be time for everybody to get behind him and rally around him and give him all the first-team work to get this fledgling offense ready to play. Nobody has the stomach for bad offensive football. It's not even fair to Todd Monken to have to be dividing up reps when he's trying to install a brand new offense where he's already admitted the learning curve is steep. So you need to figure out who that guy is, and maybe you don't need to declare it publicly, but it will be pretty obvious, I would think, if we're out there at OTAs and one guy is getting all the first-team reps. I mean, it starts to become pretty clear. We don't have the next veteran practice until May 19th. Once again, my point is get behind the guy and as soon as you possibly can and really take advantage of the 13 practices that are coming up here very soon.
Mary Kay, do you think it matters to the Browns players who's ahead, who gets the job? Do you think they have a favorite? As we know, some people are great in the locker room and that certain guys you can rally around and other guys maybe not so much. What about in this instance?
Well, I'm sure that some guys would rather have it go one way or the other. But the thing to remember about this offense, as I mentioned before, it is full of really, really young guys. And they're trying to learn a new scheme and new terminology themselves. And I'm guessing that they just want whoever it is to go out there and get their timing down with them and get their chemistry down with them. I think it would be easier for the young guys, too, especially now you've got Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston coming in there. It would be easier to be working and know who your starting quarterback is. Timing is a thing for a lot of people. Now, I've heard other players say that maybe the whole timing and chemistry thing is overrated, but I don't really think it is. I mean, when you've got Lamar Jackson throwing to Zay Flowers over and over and over again, you're going to know each other. You're going to figure each other out. You're going to know your timing. You're going to know how you react on a sight adjustment and where you want the ball placed. And those things do take time. And so for the sake of the rookies, for the sake of the offensive line, who are going to have to learn how to block for different guys, it's just vitally important to get everyone moving in the same direction as soon as possible.
And Mary Kay, anybody that knows me knows I have a super secret recipe for an outstanding chicken salad sandwich. I got it from Berkshire Hills from my long time working there. Ken likes a good croque madame. He doesn't stop talking about it. Do you have a favorite sandwich, Mary Kay, that you like to make?
I actually do a really nice job with a grilled cheese with ham. That was one of my specialties. But for the most part, my husband says that I've been in a 25-year cooking slump. But yes, I can make a mean grilled cheese with ham. I think I would still be able to do that.
Well, the reason I asked the question is I saw somebody responded to your report, said, go make a sandwich, Mary. And it would appear it's Shiloh Sanders, and it's a verified account, so that would be the brother of Shruder Sanders. I have it up in front of me. How do you respond to a family member taking issue with your report and throwing out insults like that?
Well, let me just say about that I really do believe that I have been an inspiration for lots of women and young girls to know that you can go out there and do a good job in a man's world and, take on all of that comes with that. And I know that there are so many women who have joined the football world, especially because of some of the things that I've been able to do over the years. And I'm happy about that. And I know that will continue. Now we've got women in flag football, playing flag football all over the place. And I'm just happy that I have been able to help set the tone and open some doors in that way. And I know that will continue. And that's just how I feel about that.
Mary Kay taking the high road. Absolutely terrific answer. What did you think of the Browns draft, Mary Kay?
Well, I have a story up this morning. I really think that Andrew Berry deserves a solid A for this draft. I think it's an absolutely tremendous draft to the point where I didn't think he could beat last year, but I actually think maybe he did beat last year's draft. Time will tell, but this looks to be an amazing class. And I have to add, we have to talk about Super Bowl window too, don't we? I think we do.
Okay, Mary Kay, I'm glad you brought this up.
Absolutely love it.
You should have heard me pussyfooting around the situation yesterday because I was going, well, I know we've made jokes about this, but the window has to start somewhere. And if this is, you're getting 5 starters out of this draft, well, the window's got to start somewhere. So please take it away.
But it started last year. Last year was the foundation, which I was trying to say on this air so many times. Last year was the foundation of Super Bowl window 2.0. And this year is another big, whatever, the flooring, the windows, whatever the case may be. Another big, huge installment of Super Bowl window 2.0 went in this year. Now you've got the core of the future of the Cleveland Browns is in place. And I really do think that what it needs more so than anything, besides a little bit of time, is just good quarterback play.
I have a wild-ass conspiracy theory about this, by the way, about the quality of this draft and the quality of last draft. And it doesn't have anything to do with Paul DePodesta, but I'm going to ask you that here in a second. Please, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I apologize, Mary Kay. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just, this is what I've been trying to the point that I've been trying to get across. This is how you build a Super Bowl window, and teams always know when other teams in the NFL are in their window. It's the vernacular that's used in the business. So the Browns are creating their Super Bowl window, and now have a team that they believe and a roster that they believe that over the next how many ever years will be able to contend.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us here on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. I'm not going to share that conspiracy theory with you. Lima, what the hell was I going to ask?
Why
I wrote it down
you
and I don't.
just share
I
it?
didn't write it down. No, not
Just
the conspiracy theory. Oh, Paul DePodesta. Does this have anything to do with Paul DePodesta not being here anymore? That the Cleveland Browns drafts the last couple of years have been too good, have been pretty good. It seems.
No, I don't think that's the case. Remember, the Browns did not have first-round picks for 3 years, 2022, 2023, and 2024. It's a whole lot easier to draft well when you have a lot of premium draft picks, right? They had 3 in the first 39 this year. They ended up with some really, really good players in the first 39 and the first 58 that will be starters this year. So if you wipe out the first round of the draft for them this year, maybe they wouldn't be getting A's from everybody nationally. But they had premium picks, and then they made the most of them. They turned their 9 original selections into 10 players and 2 fourth-round picks in 2027, and then also Titus Howard. So they maximized their 9 selections, and they moved up and down the board, and it's a whole lot easier to do that when you have first-round picks.
Mary Kay, we'll get you out on this. We had Dave Jenkins in studio, and he basically said if there's a will, there's a way to get a Super Bowl in Cleveland. He says it's just going to revolve around whether or not they can get the infrastructure around town, the hotels, and all that stuff. Your prediction, crystal ball time. Do you think, Mary Kay, Cleveland, Ohio will host a Super Bowl?
Actually, I do. I do think that Cleveland will get one. I think the stadium.
Whoa! Super Bowl! Super Browns! Yeah! Let's go. Let's go, Mary Kay. Damn it, let's go.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Browns.
And they should just put a bunch of cruise ships on the lakefront, and there you have your hotel. So
Viking River Cruises.
She figured it out.
Cuyahoga River, the good time.
3 through 9.
Battleships going after it. Here we go. Turn it up.
You imagine John Facenda narrating a Super Bowl in Northeast Ohio? Well, no, you can't because he's
Be
gone.
kind of crazy, yeah.
Yeah, be somebody else. Harry Callis.
It'll coincide with the Browns being in their Super Bowl window, right?
Well, you got your headline.
All right, Mary Kay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Wonderful, wonderful Mary Kay on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. Okay, I didn't see this. Now we're going to see it, apparently.
What, the croque madame?
Ken has a good recipe.
Well, I don't even know what the hell that was. I go, where is he going with this?
Well, you don't know what that is.
What the hell is a croque madame? Croque madame?
Yeah, of course, it's a classic French bistro sandwich.
Oh, of course. I've
Made
had
of
many
toasted
of
ham
them.
and Gruyere cheese.
Oh, the Gruyere.
Everyone knows that one.
Mouth-watering.
If someone knows how to make them, bring one on down.
You got to put the bechamel sauce on top.
The what?
What's
bechamel sauce?
What's a croque madame without it?
Well, and then of course it could be a croque monsieur. This one has a sunny side
You
up
gotta
egg on
be,
top.
you gotta be kidding me.
Everyone knows this, Ken.
No. You're gonna make me talk about this thing you got over here, huh?
I'll just say this. Mary Kay took the high road.
All right.
We will not when we come back here on Sports Radio 92.3
don't
The
speak
Fan.
for me. I might take the high road here. Good God. Lord, friends.
You're not doing him any favors.
All right, turn your
I'm
mic.
just telling you that.
Turn your mic off. I got to do this. Friends, Ken Carman here. $50 off a natural.
Listen to his reports on the station with the most local sports talk in town. 92.3 The Fan, powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
So I want to make, is this real? I just looked at Twitter about that. So I've been trying to get off social media during things that we had to do. You're sure that's real?
Yeah, it absolutely is a real account. So
shouldn't have done that.
For those just joining us, and we talked to Mary Kay about it, and already we've got some national outlets that are asking us about it. But Mary Kay had the report that Deshaun Watson is in the lead right now. Guys, it's so early. But we felt compelled. We got to bring it up. We had her on. It made sense on a day like today. And then under her report on one of the aggregator sites on Instagram, Shiloh Sanders, a verified account, sent on Instagram a message that said, "Go make a sandwich, Mary." And Mary Kay took the high road, which, she's a professional. She is a Bill Nunn Award winner, as documented by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Last year, she is a celebrated veteran on these journalism streets in the world of professional football. She is known across the land for her reportage. And to have the brother of a quarterback who's competing for a starting job just add to the noise with a comment like that just comes off, gotta be honest, it comes off completely sexist, misogynist. It just comes off bad. It's just a bad look. Yeah. And again, I've said this time and time again, man, Shruder seems like an awesome dude. He seems so likable. I listen. Anytime he talks, I am listening. I'm taking notes. I think he's a breath of fresh air anytime he talks. But everybody around him continues to me to harm the messaging.
Let me compartmentalize it here first. I mean, this is a brother. We all have goofy family members. I don't think
I'm the goofy family member.
The only place this is an actual knock on Shruder is on social media and sports talk radio, and that's not real. So this is not a real knock on Shruder. Again, I can be upset that I was told bad news. I'm not going to be mad at the messenger for telling me bad news. Now I'm not his brother, so I don't want Deshaun Watson to be the starter. I want Shruder Sanders to be the starter. But I'm not going to knock Mary Kay for a report from sources inside the building that Deshaun Watson would be the leader. And those are terrible comments. There's no way around it. It's in poor taste. But it's not from him. It's from his brother. His brother can answer to it or not. Whatever. So it should not have anything to do with the quote-unquote race for the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
As long as we're all being... Because I don't want this to turn on to dirt on Shruder or throwing dirt on his name based on what somebody had written there. So I didn't see that until you posted it right there. Because someone sent me a link on Twitter to your post to highlight it, and obviously the replies aren't great.
Look, people are mad that I asked her about it. I mean, how do you not ask? And listen, the Sanders family, this is what is kind of amazing about their story. Like, they are so public. They document everything. They have reality TV. In this era of just television and social media, like they are unbelievable. They are amazing content. Sometimes you wonder if they do this to create content because they're so good at it. And they have so many fans that follow everything they do. I just feel bad when the brother says, maybe he was just joking around. I don't know, but it just tarnishes so much of what this story is. Like,
I'll get in that
let
sandbox.
Shador's football speak for itself.
I'll get in that sandbox here. But again, I think we were missing the difference. There is a difference between his fan base, because for his fan base, maybe that works. The people who are dropping in who just want to be Shruder fans and don't care about the Browns. The reason I don't like it because they're sexist comments or bad comments. But the other part of it is that there's general Browns fans. I mean, I had somebody yesterday when I responded to Sean Salisbury, right? We follow each other on social media. I responded to Sean Salisbury. He's got a podcast, and Sean had asked, if Deshaun Watson starts, should Shedeur Sanders be traded? I'm like, no. Where else am I going to get excited about Anthony Richardson? Hell no. No, he should not be traded. And I did get some people, Kenny is a tremendous distraction. I go, to who? And when you're bringing up the Shiloh Sanders thing, that's a distraction to all this, which none of it's real. Like, I look at Shedeur and I go, he's not a distraction to his teammates.
No.
He's not. The only thing that could distract him is if he goes out there and he plays poorly and doesn't know what he's doing. And that's real to them. Everything else, it's just you're tired of hearing about these things and you want to get back to normal football. Well, this is our normal right now. We have a quarterback that nobody really wants to see and a quarterback that people are getting worked into a shoot on social media about. And then we got another quarterback that you can't wait to trade and another quarterback that I can't wait to see when it comes to training camp. But that's another story for another day. So I have this situation that is real. But when it comes to all the other stuff, it's like Shedeur Sanders isn't some sort of a distraction to the team. So there's no reason to trade the guy. When it comes to us, yeah, I guess you can get tired of hearing about it, tired of talking about it, tired of bickering about it, whatever it is. But you can't sit there and say that it's a distraction to the team. And what he says, maybe Shedeur's going to be asked a question about it, but they don't need to sit there and release statements because of what somebody's brother said. If they did that, I mean, good God, are they supposed to release a statement over what Dylan Gabriel's girlfriend said?
I was going to say Patrick Mahomes and his brother.
Are the Chiefs supposed to release statements about that? No. So the Browns don't have to answer to what Shiloh Sanders says on social media.
Kenny, it's just,
I can't believe that's real.
It's just, I have to say, it's just a bad look. And sometimes a bad look.
But it's not a bad look for Shedeur, but it turns into one online. I know how it's implied by a lot of people. What happens
is, so there are a lot of guys that like to take up for Shedeur that are close to Shedeur. Hey, you know what? That's cool. I wish people in my life would take up for me. That would be pretty cool.
I defend you a lot out in the streets.
Well, my sister never has, and I'm still waiting for my wife to. The next time will be the first. With all that
There's
said,
stories of your dad defending you in certain places.
Oh, okay. That's good.
You got to put something on the commissary.
But with all of that said, man, you've seen Prime, co-sign some of the stuff that's been written about Kevin Stefanski.
I don't think stuff like that, though.
But not like that. And listen, I think, by the way, Prime would not appreciate his son going to those stereotypes for a female reporter, a dogged female reporter who's been around the block, who I know Dion knows her, has seen her around. Like, I think he'd be kind of feel like that was off-putting for his son that he raised to go to that bag on social media. It's very unfortunate.
It is what it is. I wish there was no comment there because I don't like hearing the report. I'd rather Shedeur Sanders start. I'd rather Shedeur start, but I'm not going to attack Mary Kay for telling me bad news. If I attack Mary Kay for telling me bad news, I never talked to her in the first place.
Right.
Because there's been a lot of bad news about the Browns over the last 20-something years. 216-474-0092. All right, I want to get to the football. Can we get to the football here?
Yes.
Now, we got a Cavs team that just took a series lead. That's excellent. 9-22. Are you changing your theories about whether or not this team can go far in the postseason based on last night? Because they did do something last night differently that they've really not done. It's been years. And I will tell you what that is at 9-22. And a lot of fans, they're feeling better about the Browns after the draft. Feeling like they could go places after this draft. If you want to get to where you want to go, they better make this decision sooner than later. And it has to do with Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, Fat and Thin in the morning on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for Mentality Health. Unlike online-only services that everybody's offering these days, Mentality.
92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Count down the hours until tip-off with us, Baskin and Phelps. Weekday mornings starting at 10. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Yeah, do it.
92.3 The Fan is looking for a winner. Enter the code word BAD, B-A-D, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to the R&B tour starring Usher Raymond and Chris Brown, July 7th at Huntington Bank Field. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. Usher.
Usher's last name is Raymond?
This is news to you?
I've never called him Usher Raymond. It's always been Usher. It's like Cher. It's like Madonna.
It's the only thing I ever knew about.
U-S-H-E-R-R-A-Y-M-O-N-D. Nobody tell me what you want to do to me.
You know this?
Now, the thing is, I thought it was his middle name. That's his last name?
Is that his last name or middle name? I don't know. I just knew him as Usher. I didn't listen to a lot of Usher.
Hold me. Take it slow with me. Nice and slow with you. Better let it go. Never limit it.
We have a running joke in our house. Don't tell my youngest son, but he's convinced that his original name was going to be Usher Raymond. And so every time we sing, because it was on the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, that's how it started.
I'm going to ask a real personal question.
About Usher?
To you two. Was Usher music you put on for that?
Well, there's
activity?
two different Ushers to me. When I was in high school, it was that kind of music, and then it became club music once I was 21 because of the Little John scene, like Little John and the East Side Boys, and Yin Yang Twins, and all those guys were in every club in 2003, 2004.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was high school fake
and
ID
Usher
time.
was one of the hook guys for them.
Okay. I had one situation where there was a CD. My buddy burned it for us called Sexy Mix. I told you guys
Sexy Mix. You brought it in, I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't bring it in. I couldn't find it.
No, there's one that you brought in. We
Mix.
did it on the podcast, and I went through and found the tracks. Yeah.
That memory of
it was pretty
her
scratched
face, that memory of her face hitting the floor trying to dance, I'll remember that forever. I'll remember that forever. To my dying day. That's the only time music was ever put on back in the day. Yeah. I did not do. I know a lot of guys who, like, there were certain songs, if you heard that in the other room, you knew what was going on.
Well, now you can go do it over at Huntington Bank Field.
That's nice. Yeah, man. If you
full
weren't
circle moment.
If you weren't already fixed, I would have said, well, there could be another Lima on the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can reverse it. It just costs a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money to reverse it. They were like, you understand? Because I remember I was like, it's only $61. This is amazing. And they're like, you are understanding that if you want to try to reverse this, which isn't guaranteed, you understand this costs tens of thousands of dollars, Kenny? I was like, yeah, we're done, dude. I'm
Which
done.
is ridiculous. I mean, Elon Musk says we should all be having 10 children each. We need to repopulate the earth. Well, then now I got to pay $10,000 to get this done?
Coming in hot, 8 o'clock tomorrow, not 9:45, because Todd Monken's going to be in studio. So you're going to get an early start to coming in hot because Todd Monken, the Cleveland Browns head coach, is going to be in studio at 8 o'clock. 216-474-0092. Mary Kay Cabot spoke to us about 40 minutes ago. I want to get back to this Cavs series coming up at 9:22. They did something yesterday that I don't think I've seen them do. And maybe I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here, but I want to run it by you guys before I go shooting my mouth off. Well, I'm going to shoot my mouth off, but still run it by you guys coming up at 9:22. Mary Kay, talk to her about the naming of the starter, when it should be, why they should be naming the starter right now. I got to tell you, the way that it was described, I got to agree. I want this done sooner than later. And I got a lot of people going, Kenny, come on. Like there's a lot of people going, Kenny, you're a Shruder guy. You can't want... No. I want Shruder to start because I think a lot of people are, if you got Deshaun starting, there is a curiosity I can't deny. But there's no hope. There's no hope because then it just opens up a bunch of different conversations. I mean, where does the Deshaun Watson conversation go? It becomes a threat of whether or not to sign the guy an extension, do an extension. You shouldn't take it as a threat, guys. Browns fans shouldn't be taking it that way. That if you start one quarterback, oh my God, if he plays well enough, they're going to sign him even longer. Like, no. But I have to trust, or I have to believe that they are going to do what is right, and they should put the head coach in charge of picking the player, of picking the starter. So I can get behind the reasoning, even if I don't like it, I can get behind the reasoning of Todd Monken picking the starter, and I want it to be done sooner than later, because Mary Kay's right. You do not get as much time as we think in training camp. So the ones that are going, Kenny, you're turning your back on Shruder. It's not that. I want the best quarterback to play, and I want the quarterback that most people like more than the other one to play, because I don't know how far this season's going to go. Okay, that's fair. But I'm not turning my back on anybody. I want them to be a functional organization. And being a functional organization is trying to figure out where your starters are before you go out there. And if you're telling me, Kenny, they haven't even put on pads yet, maybe they will put on pads yet, and Shruder will be undeniable in the 3 preseason games, right? I'd hope so. But you want to have that done. You want to have that ready. You have a new offense going in. Your offense sucked out loud over the last 2 years in the first place. You got young guys and a totally new offensive line possibly to start this season off. You got to hit the ground running, man. You got to make your decision and go with it. So I got to agree with Mary Kay. You got to make your decision sooner than later. Before training camp, hell or high water, whether people are outside the gates with pitchforks and torches, or whether they're just high-fiving you on the way in, you got to make your decision before training camp.
I guess, Kenny,
You don't have to tell us, but you got to make your decision before training camp.
I guess I just thought there wasn't much of a gap between them, and that because of that, we were going to get, a legitimate competition.
I don't know if there is, but come on, Anthony, no competition is legitimate.
Sure. By the way, Coach Riz talking with Jonathan yesterday when they got in a heated debate.
They were awesome.
They were awesome. I would encourage anybody to go back and listen on the Odyssey app, but 100%, they're never fair and balanced. Just look at last year. Kevin, 4 quarterbacks. No, you had 2 separate dueling competitions going on at the same time.
Todd's always been forefront that it's not going to be an equal competition.
Right. And so I'm glad that we got that out of our system. It's never going to be fair and balanced completely. However, after 3 install days, where would a gap emerge? Is that Todd Monken saying? And again, he hasn't publicly stated it. It's reporting. We got to just make sure that everybody knows.
From sources, yeah.
From sources with
Mary Kay.
Well, we'll have to ask him right to his face tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Yeah. So I expect him to say, no, we haven't made up our mind on any of that. But obviously the players in the locker room, they tend to know these things, and assistant coaches behind the scenes, they tend to know these things, before the public is let in on it. And all I'm saying is, what could Watson have done in 3 install days and meeting rooms and all that to forge ahead? That's what I'm wondering.
I'll tell you guys this, and I got no problem telling you, because I think everybody's going to agree, so certainly there's no problem telling you. How many people trust the defense on this team? 90% of Browns fans easily. The only thing you'd be worried about is Mike Rutenberg going to mess up a good thing, right? Because you don't know who he is. But he seems like a high-energy guy, seems very high energy, and almost the same way as a younger version of Jim Schwartz in so many ways. We'll find out, right? But I've told you before, interviewing the defense, talking to those players even without mics, it's a more mature group than I think I've seen in quite a long time, maybe ever, in the 14 years of being on the Fan, and it's 18 years technically being around the Browns at the old place I used to work at way back in the day. If they're that way, I think they resonate with you more than you think as fans. And so they're looking at it going, hey, when's the offense going to get their head out of their ass? I think the players feel the same way you guys do about the offense. So hell or high water, you got to make your decision. And if you got to make your decision beforehand, I think Todd Monken wants to do that. I think that he's going to agree with everything we're saying right now. If Todd Monken wants to do that, then you got to really have your decision made by the time they come back in late July to get this thing going and to start this season. Because I can't put these guys in this position of hemming and hawing and wondering who's going to play, who's not going to play, who's going to be their QB, all the other stuff that surrounds it. You make your decision and you go with it. And I understand that a lot of Browns fans ain't going to like it. But I'm going to let the head coach of the football team, not the marketing team, decide who the starting quarterback of the football team is. And that's the way it should be. I don't like it. I don't. I accept it. I accept him. He cannot care. Todd cannot care how I feel or how Anthony feels or anybody. I think you would want Shruder to start, would you not?
That's who I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he can't care. And hopefully Shruder would play well enough to start. But I can't guarantee that. I'm not around him all the time. So if it ends up being Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to assume that Shruder is doing something wrong. I'm just going to assume that Deshaun Watson has returned to some physical form because, again, you're working out. He ain't forgot how to work out.
Sure.
If he returns to some physical form, all right, let's see where it goes.
I guess, Kay,
I don't think it's going to go to a good place, but let's find out.
And I don't think a lot of us do, but the one thing that I think we all knew is that just from an aptitude perspective, the guy who's been in the NFL longer with coaches and different installs and different, operations over the years, like Deshaun Watson, was always going to have the edge over somebody who just got thrust into a bad situation last year for 7 games. Like, we all knew that. So maybe that's just what this is reflecting, that there was an obvious advantage. But when we talk about naming a starting quarterback or having a QB1 in June, I just think you got to allow Shruder to realistically bridge that gap and see if he can. And I don't think there's any way he could have done that in 3 days of an install.
I understand that. But again, it was just the thought of who would be the leader. It isn't who's guaranteed the spot.
That's true.
But by the time they get out of OTAs and we're ready to start training camp, yes, I would like them to make their decision. And we'll live with it. And if Shruder goes out there during the preseason and plays exceedingly well and Deshaun Watson is sucking up the room, we'll obviously argue about it and we'll argue whether or not Todd Monken's making a mistake. Because everything's great now. He hasn't had to make many decisions for this football team. But I do know, and I think he feels this way, you can't go into training camp the same way you did last year. That was an unmitigated disaster.
I agree.
You can't do it that way. Coming up in 5 minutes, the Cavs did something last night that might change how you feel. Just how far the Cavs can go. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app. American Platinum Door and Gate, 30 years.
No word at the moment the impact is going to have on players like Bryson DeChambeau or John Rahm. Listen to the Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I got a wild-ass theory I'm going to lay on everybody tomorrow.
Well, who doesn't like a Kay Cabot wild-ass theory?
I'm going on vacation right after, and I got what you guys to all stew on it, because I spent a week thinking about this, and I don't know why I'm sounding like Foghorn Leghorn as I'm saying this right now. What?
That's a Ken Carman classic.
Should I share it now? Should I just share my crazy-ass theory now?
Make them wait. You got to make them wait.
I want too bad, man. I want to so bad.
I say you should.
I say I should. Foghorn Leghorn. Not my favorite. Looney Tunes character. Bugs Bunny, favorite Looney Tunes character.
Okay. My favorite Leghorn, though.
I mean, yeah, of all the Leghorns and all the Foghorns, I would say he's my favorite Foghorn.
Oh, no, it's my third favorite Foghorn.
Really? Power rank your Foghorns. Turn on the music and let's go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Winner right here. Cavs did something last night that might change how you feel about how far the Cavs can go in this series.
They won?
Okay.
That's true.
I almost cussed at you right there.
Had they have lost, I would have said, you can't lose another one.
That'd have been tough.
You know, I like working with you because you keep me on my toes, both of you. So if I didn't work with you guys, I can't imagine some of the
You lose
ridiculous...
3 or 4 games, Cavs. I'm going to start to not believe it.
Four is a danger zone. You don't want to lose 4. That's where I would put you in the oh no category.
I hate you to pieces. God, do I hate you to pieces. All right.
5. I mean, come on.
That'd be a record, I believe.
Yeah, no one's ever done that
I can't wait
before.
to share this theory tomorrow, man. I can't wait to do it. All right, here we go. The Cavs did something last night they actually fought through. And they have earned this nasty label that last year, like people called them soft last year. I defended them last year, man. I go, they weren't soft. They got beat by a better basketball team. The Indiana Pacers, somebody on our station or something, I forget, you texted me, said that they lost to a bad Pacers team or something like that. I go, they were bad. They came a half away from winning the finals. They could have won the finals. Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. Had he not been hurt, they could have won the finals. That's a good basketball team. If you think it's a commentary about the league, fine, let it ride, I guess. But they're a good basketball team. You didn't get outfought last year. I think you got out-assed. And there's a difference. This time, Sunday, hey, man, you earned it. You earned the Charles Barkley knock on you. You earned the Charles Barkley knock on you in the first half in this last game. Because I thought on Sunday they played like a team that was waiting for Toronto to just curl up and die and end the season. And I think they played that way when they got up by 8. I think they played that way when they got up by 11, and then they got up by 8 again. I think they played that way. And that was what I was afraid of last night. But you're playing against a team. Now they have confidence. It's 2-2. It's an even series. It's a best of 3 now. And they had to fight, and damn it, they fought. And I'm telling you, man, Dennis Shruder, and I know that this is going to turn rah-rah, and I don't need to do it. I don't mean it to come off this way. But Dennis Shruder, lighten him up at halftime, where Dennis Shruder is not Max Strus. No offense to Max Strus, but Dennis Schroeder's been in this league longer. Dennis Schroeder has a lot. And Max Strus, I'm sure, is respected in some level, but Dennis Schroeder is a respected veteran in the NBA. And him not being Donovan Mitchell, going in there and telling him what's so and what's what, I thought it makes a bit of a difference. It's easy to say that after a win. Because I mentioned Max Strus, you mentioned that he had texted everybody and then went 0 for 9 last year in the postseason against Indiana. Yeah, that sucks. But Dennis Shruder, he goes in there, halftime, lights him up, and then what's he do? Scores 11 of his 19 in the fourth quarter.
A text is a lot different than standing face-to-face
true.
to somebody and
That's
telling
true.
them what maybe they don't want to hear.
You are exactly right about that, because this ain't high school anymore, man. This is what
Anybody can send a text.
Exactly. What you just said is the absolute truth. That's why I'm kind of excited right now, because this is grown men. These are proud men. They have egos. This is the NBA. And if I tried to stand, come on, if I tried to stand over Owen and gave him something and I'm standing up above him and Owen didn't think that what I was saying was actually true or was demeaning towards him in some way, Owen's going to take a swing at me. We're grown men in a room. This ain't high school no more.
It's a level of accountability that I don't know that we've heard people on the Cavs roster hold each other to.
Exactly.
At least publicly.
And it can't always be Donovan. Because if it's always Donovan, then eventually it becomes, here goes Donovan again.
Kenny,
it can't
I think
always
that's
be
the
him.
point. I think it's the fact that I think Donovan needed to be told something.
Maybe.
You remember 2016? What changed it in 2016, right? For the Cavs, they ended up winning the championship.
Ty Lue.
It was Ty Lue telling LeBron what he didn't want to hear, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right. I think this is important now because, yes, Donovan has been the leader of this team, but he's had two people come in with fresh perspective. James Harden, and I know a lot of you guys don't like his fresh perspective about the playoffs, but one thing you know, James has been on great teams. He's been on really good teams. He's also been beaten by even better all-time great teams. Yeah. And so it's another look at it, and someone who's played with, think about the great players James Harden has played with too. Same thing with Shruder. He's played with some of the all-time greats. And to have that outside perspective come in your locker room and identify, hey, what you guys just did in the first two quarters, the first 24 minutes, is absolutely not winning playoff basketball. And I think he has standing. I think he has credibility when it comes to that. It's not about whether Schroeder's a superstar or not. We know we laugh about the Hall of Fame thing because you wouldn't think of him as a Hall of Famer, but he is going to be a Hall of Famer because of international play. But he's played in some big moments. He's played in some huge games. And I think people look to him and say, you know what? Kind of does validate things that guy says because he's been there, done that.
That call we had on Tuesday was either Tuesday or yesterday, comparing the comparison. And there's a lot of things I agreed with in that call. And there was, I think it was Thomas and Shaker, but I don't want to put names to something that wasn't true. But I want to say the call did come from Shaker Heights, is where you have a comparison between Donovan Mitchell and LeBron James. Donovan is not a freak of nature like LeBron. We will never call Donovan the greatest to ever do it. We will never put him in that conversation because there's only a couple guys that you can put in that conversation. And we were blessed and even to some degree spoiled by LeBron James's play of 11 seasons with this team in two different aspects. And when he came back, you know this, for those 4 years, he was a different player. He was a different leader. I think that he was tougher. I think that there were times where he was a little bit more mercurial about things, but still he was tougher. And you could always expect LeBron to take over because he could physically do so. I have a guy who's a 6'4" guard who is the leader of this team. He may go down as the second greatest Cavalier to ever do it. It's just not in the same category as LeBron. So LeBron, if he really wanted to during his time, could stand there and cuss guys out and tell them what it is because LeBron is the king and he can do what he wants. Donovan, it might get old after a while. So Donovan knows that he's going to need somebody else to take ownership of this team. It can't just be him. He's absolutely the leader of the franchise. They do as he wants them to do. But damn it, you have to have somebody else take it seriously. And you remember what Jason was writing back in the day. That was part of the whole knock on Darius. Was like, hey, Donovan wants him to take it more seriously. He's going to blink, and now his legacy's here. And gosh, you heard Darius there after the play-in game with the LA Clippers. I think it's starting to sink in. It took a major injury, but it's starting to sink in now. Well, too little, too late. Now you go out and you got a guy who's a 17-year veteran who's been an all-star and an MVP before in this league. You have him helping you out, but then you got a guy like Dennis Shruder who's been in the wars, has played in the playoffs, has played for the bad teams, has played for a long time. That guy's in there taking it seriously. I think that responsibility to this team could be a shared thing. And I thought it was a good thing to hear Kenny Atkinson, after that post game, say what he did about Donovan, saying, no, leave Dennis out there, and then coming back into the game with 2:47 left to go in it.
Yeah, Shruder playing all 12 minutes and Donovan coming off the bench, in that game. I think it was a surprise to many, but we also got to give it up to Evan Mobley. Got pushed around.
I didn't even mention Evan. You're right.
I got to say, that first half was a total joke.
You're right.
He got pushed around. NBA players like R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes just bulldozing their way through him when he's a defensive player of the year just a year ago. That had to be humiliating for him. And it looked like curtains for the Cavs season there in the first half. And I'm not going to lie, when he wound up, and boy, is there a wind up for Evan Mobley to take a three-pointer. When he wound up to take those threes in those big moments, I'd be lying if I wasn't shouting, no. And it was the quintessential, yes, when he made them both. Huge, huge shots. And by the way, defensive rebounding. Yes. Defensive rebounding.
I'll take 23 and 9 as long as we get it done. I need him on offense, so I'll take the offense.
He limited those second attempts that they kept getting, those second opportunities.
The final minutes of the third quarter, right? It got back. They had a 12-point. They were down 12. They cut it back down. I think they tied it up at one point.
Yeah.
And then they were down 8 again. Just as quickly as they had cut the deficit, they were back down 8. Like a minute left. He hit a 3, and then he had a breakaway. He scored 5 points in the final minute of the third quarter. That's an opportunity for them to go to end the quarter. Another bad quarter of ending the quarter for them, just like they did in Game 4 for 3 straight quarters there. That it could have just got away. I thought Evan Mobley was fantastic in the second half last night.
Huge.
Do you think the Cavs can make a run now? 216-474-0092.
Right.
Do you think the Cavs can make a run?
Like that.
It's on one game. I want to know. Call your shot. Do you think they can or can't they? All right. And by the way, I'm not going to rip you if you don't think they can, because there's still a lot of things that they need to do to earn your trust. I'm not even sure if I think that they can make a run now based on last night. But I thought they fought through it, and this has been a front-running team for a long time that's been called a lot of nasty things, man. And obviously they weren't listening to Charles Barkley at halftime, but you got one of the greatest of all time ripping you, saying that you're lying to everybody about who you are, that you have hoodwinked everybody and pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. Do we have Chuck? Yeah, do we have Chuck here? Go ahead and play Chuck if you got him. I don't mean to just order it up right there. I know it's not a cup of coffee, but you have one of the all-time greats who's been calling you out. And again, remember, he's on a set with a guy who's been calling out Donovan Mitchell basically his entire career.
Just got to say, man, I just want to apologize for picking the Cavs to get to the finals.
Man, you're halfway through Game 5.
Ernie, what you see, no team's going to get to the championship playing like the last 3 games. They haven't played 3 bad games, two bad games and a half in a row. Like, they don't value the basketball. They don't play with – you can't win with consistent players. When you – and Shaq and Kenny know, when you're on a good team, there's a sense of urgency. There's no sense of urgency with this Cavs team.
Who are you apologizing to, though?
Oh, America. I've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray.
Yeah. Well, that's what you've done to America, too.
And I think, audio courtesy ESPN, I think a lot of people have felt the way that Charles Barkley has. I think that they look at some of the other teams in professional basketball. They feel differently about this team. I think that they like Cleveland. I think that they like Cleveland fans. I think that they know that Cleveland is good for the NBA. Cleveland being a good basketball team is good for the NBA. And I think that that's the way they feel. And they are bothered by it because I think they feel the same way the fans have. Why do we want it more than you? Why do fans feel like they want it more than you? And I think that that's been part of the turn that's happened this year where people have been really negative about it. Cavs fans, Cavs first fans have been really negative about him. And we've been fighting that fight for a long time. One game doesn't make the difference. I have to respect their feelings of it, because if they go in and they roll one in on Friday and we end up having to go to a Game 7, well, obviously they're going to have to answer to that. So we're not out of the woods here. But if they continue to show that type of resolve of what they did yesterday and that type of leadership from not Donovan Mitchell, Donovan has to be a leader, but he can't be the only one. If they continue to show that, then yeah, they do have a chance to go deep, at least to the Eastern Conference Finals against the team they were supposed to play, more than likely the Boston Celtics, and then we can figure it out after that. It's big to me.
What did you guys think of, we labeled it Donovan's biggest game of his career, a legacy-defining game, and then James Harden came out in the first quarter and said, I'm going to make sure that we are not going home. And I know there were some terrible James Harden-esque turnovers later in the half, but I think overall, like, James was setting a tone.
Well,
like, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging.
Yeah.
And I do think that's important, because at some point Donovan's going to have a monster game, right? At some point he's going to have a virtuoso
I'm waiting
playoff
for it
game,
again.
right?
Now it's been 3.
Maybe game 6 in Toronto when your role players have trouble on the road.
Anytime's
That's typically
fine.
how the NBA works. But a superstar comes through. We have not seen Donovan. He had 2 good games to start out the series. We have not had a superstar.
You're right.
Wake up the echoes Donovan Mitchell game.
It can always be every game, but it can always be the next game, and I would take that out of Donovan if I have to. I just felt it was a tremendous relief that we have been fighting about this for a long time, about what this team is, what it could be, and it's nice that, yes, everything lays at Donovan's feet. This was all done for Donovan. I'm not trying to push away any responsibility from him. This was all laid at his feet, but he knows, because he's not LeBron, he needs somebody. He needs more than just one to help him, and he got that last night. And he got 2 trusted veterans. And again, Evan Mobley's playing the fourth quarter. Evan Mobley has been called some nasty, nasty things in the media here recently. I would never say that to him. I would never say it to you guys because I wouldn't say it to his face. Really nasty things. So I would hope that what they've done is wake up a sleeping giant with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But you never know. Because one game ain't going to make you trust him based on all the evidence that people have had for what we believe is the last 4 years. 216-474-0092. Do you think the Cavs can make a deep run now? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the way this month went. I'll tell you why next on The Fan. Tom Merriman and Merriman.
what they need in next year's draft. What I've been hearing is that he emerged from that voluntary minicamp ahead of Shruder Sanders, and at this point right now, he has the inside track to win the starting job.
Listen for Mary Kay Cabot from the Plain Dealer in Cleveland.com. Tuesday mornings at 11 on Cleveland's Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Head coach Kenny Atkinson, he got a little bit of hell from some of our media brethren for this admission from last night after the Cavs' 125-120 win over the Toronto Raptors. He said that he was ready to put Donovan in. Donovan said, nah.
Well, I was going to put Donovan and Evan back in, and they said, no, this group's rolling. I was like, what? Like, that never happens in the NBA. That shows Donovan, he's so selfless. I think there's 4 minutes left. I think they just scored a bucket. Now, when they scored another bucket, I did get them in. I said, come on. But, like, they knew that group was doing well and wanted to keep them out there, both him and Evan.
Ooh, doggies. Well, let's hear what Donovan Mitchell had to say about him keeping himself out until 2:47 left to go in the ballgame.
I mean, when you got to, like, it's about the group, right? Like, it's not about, and he asked me and Evan, and we were just like, no, like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is working. We're getting stops. And I think the biggest thing about this group is it's about the collective. It isn't about one person or two people. Like, we know who we are, and we know what Dennis is bringing, right? Like, you ride the hot hand. You don't make a sub, you know what I mean? And I think that just speaks to, you know, what we have as a group, you know, and I feel like every single person 1 through 15 would say the same thing if they were in that position, right? It's about the group. It isn't about, you know, each individual. So when you got guys in a group that's really, you know, closing the game out in a sense, not in a sense, but closing the game out, you stick with it no matter who's out there on the floor.
I don't know how anybody could be going after Kenny Atkinson for this. I don't know who. I don't know how they could. You want this team to take ownership. You want this team to have leadership. You want them to take it seriously. You're making a comeback here. You were down by 3 going into the fourth quarter. You want them all to have it. Dennis Shruder, let them all have it during halftime. You want them all to be invested emotionally. Again, Dennis Shruder let them all have it at halftime, and then he's getting hot in the fourth quarter. He put 11 of his 19 points on the board in the fourth quarter. If I go and say Donovan go in and Donovan doesn't want to go in because of this situation, I have to accept that. And there was some criticism of, well, he should know when a player's hot. No, I mean, no. Are you going to trust? You've had Donovan Mitchell on this team. If you're Kenny Atkinson, you've worked with him for 2 years. Who are you going to trust more, Donovan Mitchell or Dennis Shruder, please? But it's okay to want to put Donovan Mitchell in with about 4 minutes left to go in that basketball game, and Donovan saying, nah. It's okay to recognize that. Now, there would come a time where if Donovan didn't want to go back in, him and Evan, or if they didn't want to go back in, it was like, well, what the hell are we doing here? That would be a problem, but it wasn't a problem. Hold me accountable. If they end up doing that on Friday and there ends up being a problem with it, you want these guys to take ownership of their basketball team. Kenny Atkinson knows his job is important. He is not more important than the players. Half of his job is to get these players to play together and to play the right way. Most of his job is. I mean, you can have them pick and roll or pick and choose all the things to do and all that other stuff. That stuff's important. But, man, they got to have cohesion or this thing just ain't going to go. So Donovan deciding to stay out with Evan Mobley, I'm sorry, Tone. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, or, you know, but I didn't have a big
But, again,
problem.
the greatest superstar that we've ever seen, LeBron James, what was he hammered for? Passing off to Mike Miller in the corner, passing off to James Jones in the corner. Now, he was hammered for that, but it all cleared up once he won 4 championships, and he's arguably the greatest player to ever do it. So I think some of that stuff's overrated. We trust LeBron James with the basketball when LeBron was here. We trust Donovan Mitchell. But we also have to learn that, hey, if they feel differently about it, their credentials tell us. They're not shrinking in the moment. Their credentials tell us that they probably know better than Kenny Carman and Anthony Lima on the radio. I ain't going to hammer them for that. I have to trust him because I have no other choice. So I trust him. If it were Evan, it would be different. Evan doesn't have the credentials. Donovan does. 216-474-0092. Frank in D.C., you're first up on the Fan.
Boys, I don't really think this statement is an exaggeration. And Ken, you kind of touched on it in the last segment.
Nice.
We really missed this element of toughness last year, and it was nowhere to be found. Nowhere on the bench, nobody had it. And what I mean by that is what Shruder did last night. We haven't had a guy like that on this roster really, honestly, since Delhi. And you need to have somebody that is not afraid to get in the mud and fight. And that's what's crushed us. And so when a guy like that goes out there and has a performance like that, it ignites the entire team. And I'm going to go as far as to say that I think that, the element of toughness that they've, really been missing, he was the most valuable player on the team yesterday because of what he did with that element of fixing it and getting everybody back on track, digging your feet in and grinding. And they got one more game to go, but if he does that again, you got to leave him in.
Well, I'll tell you, Frank.
I don't even care.
I'll tell you, Frank. Stay with me here for a second. See, I'm sensitive to last year because I'm sensitive to the label that's there. Oh, Frank, I got to let you go. Thank you for the call. I loved what you said. I'm sensitive to last year because I'm defensive of them. I did think they just got out-assed by the Indiana Pacers. I thought Indiana was just better in that series, and they were the better basketball team. But labels are labels for a reason. You're known as soft, and you have to try to shed that, and it can't just all be Donovan taking over. It'd be nice. Donovan's the one we trust, but you have to have all the other guys do it. I mean, we were mad at Darius over the last couple of years, not Donovan. We were mad at Jared Allen over the last couple of years, not Donovan. We were mad at Evan, not Donovan. So I need those guys to step in there and do it. Or I should say I need James Harden now to step in there and do it. He did. You're going to have to play hard. You have to be, and not just play hard, meaning effort. I mean, you're going to have to step in there and be men about it, and that's what they did last night. They didn't just wait for Toronto to die because they were the quote-unquote better basketball team.
Cavs 4.5-point favorites on Friday night. Short turnaround, but Scotty Barnes is banged up. No Brandon Ingram. So bodies are falling right now for the Toronto Raptors.
Dave Jenkins, we thank him, Browns president. I'm going to the groundbreaking today. Might get to talk to a very big luminary. Luminary, not an illuminary, luminary.
Ooh, Diana Rossini?
Light bulb.
Thank you for paying attention and making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey,
sounds good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Put the safety back on.
Bye.
Final minute of regulation. Man, hockey is long.